to call in backup from other neighboring departments because of how bad the fire was. They haven't said how the explosion happened, but they said a gas leak couldn't have been the cause. Jake McDaniel, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
All lanes of I-65 northbound downtown were closed this morning. It was because of a fiery crash between a semi and two cars near the North Split. It's not clear what caused the crash, but state police say that one person was killed. Now all lanes are back open. Indiana's economy may be in a world for a lot of growth in the coming year.
So with interest rates coming down, this is helping manufacturing in Indiana, and that's going to disproportionately drive our growth relative to the rest of the nation.
IU economist Phil Powell on Wish TV. He says this will happen exponentially more so in Indiana, with manufacturing being a huge part of the local economy. He also says that this forecast is in no way correlated with the recent results of the election. A road game tonight for the Indiana Pacers. They're in Charlotte, hoping to make it 3 straight wins. Jarris Walker coming off of a big night against Orlando.
I feel like it's being more intentional, being more aggressive on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, I'm going to play 100%, but I feel like just being more intentional offense, just trying to get myself more involved on that side.
He went for 17 against the Magic. Tip-off tonight at 7 o'clock. Traffic on the 5s, Jeremy Scott.
Well, Kurt, we'll go to the far west side where there's a vehicle fire, 10th and Girls School Road. Better news on 465 westbound. The earlier crash, it was on the right shoulder at Michigan, has been cleared off, and really that widens everything up on the roads. Traffic is sponsored by PureTalk.com. Stop overpaying for your cell phone plan. Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month on their 5G network. Dial pound 250 and say keyword switch now to save 50% off your first month. I'm Jeremy Scott with traffic on the 5s. Follow us on X at WIBC Traffic.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
A true partner in your health dedicates time to understanding your needs. At CenterWell Senior Primary Care, doctors make one-on-one time with you a priority, so you can get all your questions answered and feel more confident in your health care. See how it feels to have a team of senior care experts working together to help you feel your best. CenterWell, it's about time. Schedule a tour today at meetcenterwell.com. That's meetcenterwell.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by B&W HVAC, Plumbing and Electrical, your American Standard air dealer.
The forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Some patchy morning fog, otherwise mostly sunny. Beautiful. Today's high 65, partly cloudy skies tonight. On the chilly side, a low down to 40. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
46 and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. Congratulations. Give yourself a pat on the back. You made it. It is November 8th, 6 minutes after 9 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Well, he may have won the presidency, but there is going to be a woman in charge. Donald Trump has announced that Susie Wiles will be his chief of staff. This is his first big major appointment of his second administration and the first female chief of staff.
Okay, so a lot of this is going to rest on Trump, and this is where we're going to find out because there are so many of our listeners. I've said my major point of concern was how Trump handled his actual administration. Not even so much the policies, but the way Trump handled his administration. And in the first term, and what I meant by that was Trump believed, and it is your fault if you're the candidate and you win the election, right? You don't then get to go, I had no idea what I was doing, right? I mean, you ran for the office. But in business, Trump could just tell somebody to do it and they do it, right? Go buy this property or negotiate this deal or, get rid of this guy or, whatever. And he just used to, you say jump, we say how high. Government doesn't work that way. You can bark out orders, but the reality is you have to work inside the confines of the system that you're in. And also, there's a whole bunch of people down the food chain in your system who don't like you. And Trump, I think, failed to understand the importance of putting the right people in these positions who not only, and look, it is a challenge with somebody like Donald Trump because he's not really a Republican. He doesn't really have a lot of Republican values.
And he's not really manageable.
Well, so the point is, when you are putting people in these positions, you have to have, especially as an outsider, right? So he's not like a Bush who came up through the system or whatever. You have to have people who, number one, above all else, are loyal to you. And I usually don't say that, but because Trump is so different, you've got to have somebody who's loyal to you because what you're doing is different, or trying to do it's different than has ever been done before. So someone you can trust, someone who will be loyal to you. But the second part is you've got to have people who know how to operate inside the system or knows how the system operates, because the federal government is so big and so massive that even if you go in there and start cleaning house, it's going to take you forever to get through it. It's going to take you 4 years to even make a dent in this cabal, this whatever you want to call it. And so the chief of staff is not as important as the president, because obviously the president makes all the calls, but the chief of staff is the facilitator of the things that the president wants to do. I want this done. And it's everything from, is the policy feasible? What's the temperature of the legislature? How do we get the legislature on board if there aren't votes for it? How do we tweak the policy to make it something people can get around with? It's basically trying to ensure anything you're going to publicly put forward is going to succeed. Trump had like 4 chiefs of staff during his first term. There was no consistency. This is the most important choice he's going to make. And it does seem like, at least on the surface, he has picked someone who has a track record of being loyal to him, supportive of him, and being successful with him. And so I think I'm cautiously optimistic on this.
Well, the chief of staff is also the gatekeeper who does and does not have access to Trump, and also the person who's going to help execute his vision for his presidency, what he wants to look like.
Like, let's bring it down to a local, because one of the things we do better than anybody else is we talk about local stuff, and it's names and faces people can familiarize themselves with. So yesterday, I think Mike Braun said Josh Kelly's going to be his chief of staff. Josh Kelly has been with Mike Braun since Mike ran for State House. Josh Kelly was a partner in Market Red for years. I believe he was his chief of staff in Washington as a senator. So Josh Kelly is a guy who has been loyal and successful with Mike Braun, both on the political side and on the office side. I can tell you from my personal interactions with Josh, I worked for Josh when he ran Marlon Stutzman's campaign, and I've worked closely with Josh during this governor's campaign. Because look, this is the most perfect example I can give you. Clearly, Mike Braun and I had some issues, right? And then Micah wins, and it's like, oh crap, now we got to deal with Uncle Fester over here, because clearly Cousin Eddie, me, has got some juice, right? We need to mold this together. That was Josh's job. I'm sure Braun was like, I ain't dealing with this guy. You deal with him. And
right.
Let's find the points of commonality. And that was Josh's job. It was talk to me, hear what our audience is interested in, hear the property tax thing when it didn't work in the beginning. That was his job. He did a phenomenal job with it. He's going to be a great guy to be in that position because he knows the players. He knows the State House. He knows what Mike wants. That's the job. That's the job. He's a good pick. Micah's going to have a challenge on this, though, because Micah's an outsider. Micah is somebody who's not been inside the system before. So Micah's going to need to surround himself. A chief of staff for Micah will probably be
somebody who's got some experience.
Well, what I was going to say was the gatekeeper will probably be an outsider, just because Micah's orbit is people that are close with him in his professional life, et cetera. It's probably going to be an outsider. But he needs people near him or someone near him. And I've advocated for someone, I'm not going to say that person's name out loud, who knows how the State House works.
Is it yours?
No, it is.
You know that's what everybody was thinking.
Certainly not mine. I will be right here at I'm not going anywhere. We've already been over that over and over and over and over again. And nobody believes me, but I will be right here. I'm not going anywhere. I told somebody this yesterday. I said, they will take me out of this place in one of two ways, either in a body bag or kicking and screaming in handcuffs, shouting, I'm not going anywhere. But the point is, I'm advocating for someone for Micah who can help him, not necessarily even as a chief of staff, but knows the way the state house works, because you've got to have those people. So to bring this all full circle for Trump, and it's a much, much bigger thing, right? The federal government is so much bigger than Indiana. You've got to have these people around you who are loyal to you, yet have the ability to go to Mike Johnson if he's speaker, or we don't know yet who the leader of the Senate's going to be, and be able to meld these bodies together. And you've also got to handle Trump, which is the biggest part of it, to tell Trump, dude, you cannot be tweeting about these people this time. You've got to let the process work. Because I think that, don't you agree that one of the major problems Trump had in his first term was he was too impatient to let the process work. Sometimes you've got to let people get to yes, and that involves behind the scenes, and just tweeting about somebody and how much they suck unless they do what you want. That ain't how it works with a U.S. senator.
Well, definitely government does move slow, but the selection of Wiles was widely praised among the Republican Party, which is a good thing. That will definitely help Donald Trump. She's known as the ice baby. She's been called calm and effective and quite a leader. And that's what you want, somebody next to Trump.
Yeah.
Did you meet her when you interviewed him?
No. So there's
because she's been around that long.
Yeah, we've told this story before. The famous thing about when I interviewed Trump, I was the first one in. They had, I think, chosen 5 people that day to interview Trump at the JW. It was me. I think Daily Mail was there. And then they had 3 of the TV stations in Indiana, as I recall. And then Fox News, he was doing something with Hannity, I think, that night. So Fox News was like lighting and staging, and they took over the room and were in charge of all that. I went first, and they kind of go over like the ground rules with you. And there was this woman who was sort of in charge of the media, and she had laid out the ground rules like, you have 15 minutes, and at 15 minutes, if you're not done, we will physically carry you out of here. And tell that story about, I asked her, I said, well, like, what's the rule on getting a picture with him afterwards? And she goes, well, if he likes you, he'll absolutely do it. If not, he will tell you where you can shove your photo opportunity. So she said, you'll find out if he had a good time or not. But, and then
you do have a picture, so apparently he liked you.
He had a good old time.
Yeah.
You may remember what he said about me, Casey.
Well, it was a great dream.
That's
he
right.
wished all interviews could be that way.
But the point is, that when I got done with the interview, he wanted to keep talking, and that lady looked so mad, and I was like, what am I going to do? Tell you, sorry, Trump, I got to go. This lady looks mad. No, she's like, it's just screwing up our whole time frame.
But that lady was not Susie Wiles.
I think this was a younger person. I don't know how old Susie Wiles is, but no, I don't think she would have been like on the ground barking at media back then.
I believe Susie Wiles is 67.
Yeah. And look, I think this is going to be a pretty good pick for Trump. I think this, it's got to be somebody who's not looking to write a book. It's got to be somebody who's not looking to get a TV gig. It's got to be somebody who says, I get Trump. I get what he's trying to do. I can handle Trump. I mean, weirdly,
somebody who wants to help him govern and make change.
Well, weirdly, and again, we try to always bring this down to terms people can understand. Weirdly, you do this very well. Like, one of the reasons you were brought in
I thought about that. I was wondering if you connected that as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're, Mock before, and then our management has recognized we cannot leave Rob by himself. And part of dealing with me is not only somebody for me to talk with, but it's got to be somebody who can handle dealing with me and all the neurotic, weird stuff that comes with having to be around me every single day. And you do that phenomenally. Like, you're great at that because you're a professional. You are a professional broadcaster and in management for years. And that's why our show has done so well since you've showed up, because you know how to harness what I do. You know how to put topics together. They're going to work for me and also work for our audience. Because, like, if I had the show by myself, I would just talk about an applicable tax rate in some little town on the western end of Boone County, the whole show. No, that's not going to appeal to me. So you do that. That you are sort of like the chief of staff.
I'm your Susie Wiles.
Yeah, you have this radio show.
That's fantastic. Well, as your chief of staff, let me tell you what we're talking about next. Generation X, and also, you've got mail. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Look what happened. Is this
93 WIBC.
former President Trump celebrating victory? The golden age age of America.
Hear the news.
Republicans hold a big majority of power. Mike Braun defeated Democrat Jennifer McCormick quite easily.
I'm going to make sure that all of us as Hoosiers prosper.
Another news update is minutes away.
Todd Rokita will remain Indiana Attorney General. College football rankings, IU at 8, Notre Dame at 10.
93 WIBC Mobile News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Have you heard the saying, cash is king? This is true most of the time, but it's not when you're retired.
Hey, this is Rob.
And this is Casey.
When you're retired, cash is not king. Income is king.
Discover how you could turn your savings into a guaranteed stream of income in retirement with Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy. We trust Bill to help us with planning for our retirement, and you can too.
If you've saved more than $200,000, call Bill right now at 317-932-9912.
Social Security alone won't be enough to pay for your retirement. You need to create other sources of income that you can count on for the rest of your life.
Call Bill Demery now at 317-932-9912. That's 317-932-9912. Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy at 317-932-9912.
This November, Indianapolis will play host to one of the most prestigious culinary competitions in the world, the World Food Championships. From November 8th through the 12th, the city will welcome over 300 cooking teams, battling in 12 unique food categories.
All of this is going down at the Indiana Farm Bureau Fall Creek Pavilion. It's inside the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Food samples, cooking demonstrations, celebrity chef appearances, family fun zone, and more. To learn more or buy tickets, visit worldfoodchampionships.com.
Discover cancer care that empowers you at Community Health Network MD Anderson Cancer Center, with leading-edge treatment options right in your backyard.
I feel blessed and lucky. If I knew someone that was going through what I was going through, I would definitely encourage them to participate in a clinical trial. For me, it was life-changing.
Learn more at ecommunity.com/cancer.
Get in gear with fall savings at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get a brand new 2024 Navigator. Get an incredible $10,000 off plus 0% for 60 months. Or get $7,000 off select new 2024 Lincoln Aviators plus 0% for 60 months. So get some of those fall savings at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
Qualified buyers with approved credit. Not all buyers will qualify. Taxes and dealer fees extra. Stock number L24412. MSRP 104,200. Stock number L24208. MSRP 75,300. See dealer for complete details.
Advent will get you breathing freely again with simple in-office solutions like turbinate reduction along with balloon sinuplasty that really can change your life.
Are you worried your furnace isn't ready? Fear not at B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical. Visit bplusw.com/radio where your comfort is their priority. B&W is your independent American Standard air dealer.
Everything's a lie and that's a fact.
Gen X, the slackers, the forgotten generation.
Wait. Was that me? Was that
the
Meatloaf?
feral ones.
It was Meatloaf. Oh, that's all. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's awesome. Kylan's producer. Sorry, Casey, I totally derailed that. I'm sorry. That was amazing.
I didn't recognize it, so I'm glad you pointed it out. Look at Kylan finding some deep cuts. Meatloaf, huh?
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm totally sorry. That just, you know how I get.
When you hear a song that you like,
Well, last segment we were talking about the chief of staff thing, and Susie Wiles, and one of the jobs is chief of staff of a politician is to manage somewhat difficult people, which you are the chief of staff of this show, and one of the management.
You just wanted to give everybody an example.
Rob
right there. There it was.
Rob
right
will
there.
hear a random thing and go, hey, let me cut off everything you were trying to do. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
You're like the dog with a squirrel. Okay, so let's talk about Gen X, right? You're talking about the slackers, the forgotten generation, the feral ones. They played a key role in delivering the White House to Donald Trump, voting 53% for Trump compared to 45% for Kamala Harris.
Well, there was some statistic, Tony was talking about it this morning, where every single country in the developed world, the party in power lost votes. Now, it doesn't mean every party in power was kicked out, but across the board, across the world, people are saying that they are sick of the status quo in this world, not just in this country. In a weird way, America mirrored the election results of other people across the world, which is basically a recoil and a rejection of a globalist agenda in which all of these countries, it seems, are trying to make us a one world society. And Tony, I thought, had a great take on this, where he was saying, look, Americans or these other countries are saying, you do you, we'll do us, and in points of commonality, where we can come together and work together, we'll do that. And on everything else, we're just not going to agree, and that's
we don't need to be homogenized.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and so I think, if you look at the Gen X, which you are Gen X,
I am.
That generation was the rebellious generation, right?
Yeah, not really offended by politically incorrect remarks, and very resistant to, people being woke and telling them that they need to be that way. I mean, this is a generation grew up in the 70s and 80s, had everything from punk rock to patriotic films like Top Gun. And, obviously many Gen Xers came of age during the Reagan years, so they're called the Trumpiest generation now, Gen Xers.
Well, and isn't it fascinating how Trump did a really good job in appealing to those people in the sense of, look at who kind of some of his spokespeople were. Hulk Hogan. There was nobody bigger in the 1980s. I mean, it's funny to chuckle at it now, but it's like Hulk Hogan and the rock and wrestling connection with the tie with MTV and Cyndi Lauper and then obviously Mr. T in the first WrestleMania. And then, if you're a Gen Xer, 78,000 or whatever people was in the Pontiac Silverdome watching Hulk Hogan slam Andre the Giant. Like, we can chuckle about wrestling people being nerds and booger eaters, but wrestling was huge in the 1980s, and Hulk Hogan sort of, epitomized that. And you look at some of these other people that Trump, Dana White, UFC, it's still very big with the Gen Xers. Joe Rogan, very big. While he's big with young men as well, he is a Gen Xer. He speaks to, and so I think Trump did a really good job of kind of speaking the language of Gen X. I think a lot of Gen X people remember the 80s. You always remember your childhood more fondly.
Very fondly, sure.
Than it really was, right? But the Gen Xers remember the 1980s as sort of this warm, kind of fuzzy era, right? Now in hindsight, where, hey, Ronald Reagan was in charge and everything was going to be okay, and it was Nintendo and arcades and, the Beastie Boys. And Trump represents, again, a return to the 1980s. And so he surrounded himself with, you look at these people. And so I think voting is a certain level, is not even about policy. It's about a level of comfort. And I think Gen Xers, to some degree, found comfort in the campaign Trump ran.
Well, because there are so many similarities, the patriotism, at least, level to the Reagan years.
Yeah.
And that is a comfort factor for Gen X because that's what they grew up with. And I also think it plays into the part that the boomers are aging. I mean, when you look at my mom, she's in her, early 80s,
right?
And they're not of the fighting age that they used to be anymore. So the Gen Xers had to step up, and in some cases, stop the fighting between the boomers and the millennials and be the adult in the room and say, we've had enough. This is what we're doing. And
have they found the 16 to 18 million voters yet?
Were they supposed to be looking?
Have they been found? Maybe we can put them on that next.
Here's what this Gen X woman has to say about the election.
Y'all, they're saying that Gen X decided the election. Let me tell you why. Because we let you guys fight it all out. We let the boomers fight it out. We let the millennials fight it out. Gen Z came in and they were like, I don't know what the hell you guys are all fighting about. This whole thing just sucks, the way that we're living and everything like that. But we've had enough. We had enough. That was like, we couldn't do this anymore. So Gen X came in and said enough, and they overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. Enough.
And now Gen X just wants you to leave us alone again.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, there's something super interesting that is brewing on social media, and it involves this show. It involves Micah Beckwith. It involves James Briggs from the Indy Star. We got to talk about what's going on with this because I am fascinated about what's transpiring on social media.
It's Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Here is Jiffy Lube of Indiana's COO, Lonnie Hinkle.
Lots of Hoosiers belong to unlimited car wash programs because they want their car to look great. At Jiffy Lube, we're here to help you make sure your car runs great. So to help take care of your car inside and out, Jiffy Lube is offering everyone who belongs to a monthly car wash program a $20 discount and a free tire rotation from now through the end of the year. Just point out your car wash sticker and we'll do the rest. My Jiffy Lube teams are maintenance experts. Our computer system provides all of the manufacturer's maintenance recommendations for every make and model of vehicle, so we know exactly what every car needs to operate at its best. Jiffy Lube is your trusted one-stop shop for all that your car needs to run well for many years. You never need an appointment, and we now offer brakes, tires, tune-ups, and minor repairs at most stores. So stop in on your way to the car wash, save $20, plus get a free tire rotation just for belonging to a monthly car wash program.
Jiffy Lube. Nobody does it better.
Healthcare.gov has plans for health because you have plans for life. All plans cover doctor visits and emergency care to keep you and your family running strong. All plans cover hospital stays and prescriptions so you can have peace of mind. Visit healthcare.gov to explore health plans from the brands you know. 4 out of 5 customers can find a health plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Enroll at healthcare.gov by December 15th for coverage starting January 1st. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Everyone knows that soaking in Epsom salts can make you feel better. Now imagine soaking in Epsom salts in a Royal Spa hot tub.
Ah, Royal Spa.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Ruling against the program. Radar is clear. 49 and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. President Biden's policy to keep undocumented spouses of American citizens from being deported is being struck down by a federal judge. The Biden administration started a policy in August called Keeping Families Together, which allowed thousands of undocumented spouses to work legally in the U.S. while they sought citizenship. Well, on Thursday, a Trump-appointed federal judge in Texas said Biden exceeded his authority. President-elect Trump has made his pick to be his chief of staff, the first woman to hold the job.
Susie Wiles has a long history of leading Republicans to victory. She's a longtime Florida-based Republican strategist who ran President Trump's campaign in the state in 2016 and 2020. She served as a senior advisor and campaign co-chair in 2024. She also played a key role in helping Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis win their gubernatorial races in Florida. Susie began her career in 1979 as an assistant for Congressman Jack Kemp.
Fox's Brooke Singman. Your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. Things cooling off on Wall Street, but we're mixed. The Dow is up 29 points to 43,939. The NASDAQ is down 44 to 21,180, and the S&P 500 is down 3 to 6,000 even. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Choosing the right candidates for any office can be difficult.
My office has lots of drama.
My office has its ups and downs.
I share my office. But no matter what kind of office you have, one thing's for certain. If you're hiring, you need ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology finds the most qualified candidates for your roles fast, and you can invite your top choices to apply. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So, for any kind of office,
I'm really going places in my office.
My office has everything you could ever want.
Count on ZipRecruiter to find the right candidates for it. Try ZipRecruiter for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 463-251-1912. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics at 463-251-1912. That's 463-251-1912.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
He said that Jennifer McCormick is making the Indiana race for governor competitive. More than that, she's making people excited. He also said that Braun, Beckwith, and Banks are Indiana's crackpot era. And he also said that Indiana Democrats need to move right. These are some opinion pieces from Indy Star writer James Briggs.
All right, so we've had Briggs on this show multiple times. I like Briggs personally. I disagree with almost all of his politics, but when he does straight reporting, like he did with the Thomas Carl Cook stuff and Joe Hogsett, he's a phenomenal reporter. His ability to get information is great, and I have no personal beef with him. I understand the Star is a liberal publication, and I've had nothing but positive personal and professional interactions with Briggs. That being said, James Briggs and the Indy Star have gone out of their way to almost an obsessive level in the not only coverage, but really hate coverage of Micah Beckwith. I mean, it seemed like every day they were running some sort of opinion piece, either from readers or from them themselves, taking a dump on Micah Beckwith. And the Star wanted Micah Beckwith to be this albatross that was going to sink the Braun campaign. And what I kept trying to tell people throughout this whole thing, and I think Braun even kind of believed it for a while, and then I think once their internal polling got closer and closer to election day, I think they saw, okay, this isn't. Look, I don't think there's any – I think those guys are going to be in an arranged marriage for 4 years, and I think Mike is going to create some headaches for them that they don't want. But the reality is, from a pure campaigning standpoint, Micah Beckwith the Indy Star is so left now in their opinion, and you and I have lamented this. The Star is so left in their opinion pieces now that they're alienating people who won't read their actual journalism, which is sometimes pretty good. And what they've done with those opinion pieces is they've boxed themselves in to where they're not expanding any map. When they write an opinion piece, it's liberal people reading that, consuming that, or political nerds who already have like us, who have their minds made up. And the reality is Micah, in the actual state of Indiana, when he went to these county party events or the churches or whatever, he was a huge help to Braun. He got all those rainwater people to come back, which would not have happened. The most important thing Micah Beckwith got Braun was me, right? I mean, that would have been a big ask for Braun to pull that off if all the rainwater voters had stayed with rainwater, which they would have done if Micah had not been the lieutenant governor nominee.
Well, we got a voicemail yesterday from somebody saying that they canceled their Indy Star subscription because they weren't going to pay that much just for the crossword puzzle.
So Micah Beckwith, and the thing I love about Mike is he don't care, right? Like in his world, he doesn't, whatever the politician should do, he does the exact opposite. And this actually, he is now again challenging James Briggs to a debate, discussion, whatever you want to call it, here on our show, because I think he's sick of all the things that they have written about him. And I think Mike is the sort of guy that says, hey, one, man up and say it to my face. Whatever you're going to write, look at me in the eye and say it to my face. And two, I think Mike is saying, I want to have a civil discussion with you. You say all these horrific things about me. look me in the eye and say it, and let's have a conversation about what I'm for, about what you're against that I'm for, and let's show people how two people from the political opposite ends of the world can come together on a public airwaves and have a productive discussion. And I think he said Rob and Casey should do it because we've always been good to James. Certainly we like Micah, but one, we never sandbag anybody. And we like James, and we've had him on, and we've been very, very fair to him, promoting both his opinion pieces and his straight journalism. And I said, hey, this would be great. And Briggs doesn't appear to want any part of it.
Well, here's an example of something that he has written in his opinion pieces. In the end, only one candidate's preferred running mate fell victim to extreme activists, and it wasn't McCormick's. So this is what he's saying about Micah Beckwith.
But he's also
everybody around Micah Beckwith.
That's what's
everybody who supports Micah Beckwith.
Yeah, that's what he's saying about the state of Indiana. In James Briggs' world, if you voted for that, you are an extremist. And this actually comes back to James and Nigel and I were on a text thread, and at one point, look, I'm partially to blame for all this because at one point we were texting back and forth about something, and Briggs had said something to the effect of, boy, it would have been great if Mike and I were on there together to talk about that or whatever. And so I went to Mike and I said, hey, I think maybe he'd want to do, naively thinking like, okay, this would be great for public discourse, public dialogue. And Micah has now had it in his head since then. I want to do this on the airwaves, so I'm partially to blame for this. Briggs has never said, I would do this, or I would definitely do this, but I don't understand why he won't do it. This is what I don't understand about whether it's Greg Doyle, the bizarre block-a-palooza with that guy, and then the cryptic tweets about why he blocked me, and then blocks again. What we do on this show is everything we will say on these airwaves, if you were standing right in front of us, we will say them to you. And we've done them with politicians, right? Ask Jim Lucas how that went for him. Any of these, Jennifer McCormick, any of these people. Whatever we will say on these airwaves, I will say if you were looking at me right here in front of me. That's the way it should be. And so I don't understand, especially that the really, really, some of the mean-spirited stuff. And James is a pretty stand-up guy. He's always been very professional with us. I don't understand why he'll write it in the Star, and then he will not. I mean, he refuses to come on and have a conversation. It doesn't need to be a debate. It doesn't need to be, the presidential debate. It's just, hey, you two guys have a conversation. We'll facilitate it. It would be incredible radio. I think people would be fascinated by that. And it's a chance to show the far left and the far right can get together with two adults and we can have an actual productive conversation about why you feel the way you do about things. And from just being a man perspective, look the dude in the eye and say it to his face.
Okay, well, one of the things he said is that McCormick has run a substantive, disciplined campaign while Braun has failed to keep control of the Beckwith Clown Show. Okay. James, don't be a keyboard warrior.
Right.
If you really think that it's a clown show, come in here and tell him why.
I would be, and I'm not being facetious or anything with this. I would be fascinated to hear this. It would actually be an honor to moderate that conversation. Again, it wouldn't be a debate like you have 1 minute. I think it would be fun just to let those two guys have at it with each other for an hour on these airwaves. The only thing we'll do is just kind of facilitate topics and keep everybody on cue and make sure we hit commercial breaks.
And get the popcorn.
And let it go. But it really is telling about how these writers at the Star handle this when they get confronted on their views. Like Briggs tweeted, This was so weird. So this is the most recent because I've been kind of going, and again, I like James personally. I got no personal beef with them. He tweeted when we put this out there, I'm not running for anything, and I'm not a public speaker by trade. There's no upside to debate for me. As I said before, though, I'll go on with you all if I can ask questions. Let me interview Micah on your show, and I'm interested.
Well, this is our show. Get your own radio show, James Briggs.
We're number one. No offense. We're doing much better than the Star's doing, okay? Come on.
He just said, wait a minute. He just said he's not a public speaker by trade, but let me take control of the show.
Well, that's the thing.
No!
That's ridiculous. That you'll only come on
if you can control it.
Right. We hear from Biden about we got to bring the temperature down. We got to have public discourse with each other. We got to start treating people like neighbors. Well, what a great opportunity for you two to treat each other like neighbors, show the left and the right that you can have your passionate views, keep the temperature calm. We all know Micah's not going to get overly excited or exaggerated. I don't think James would either. I'm really kind of disappointed in James because this is an opportunity to step out from behind the paper, or in this case, much of their stuff is internet now, and show, hey, I will do this. He may be great at defending his views. He certainly writes them all the time. And I think this is fascinating. We would be the perfect people to moderate this. It would be great for so many facets of society, and I hope James will consider doing this because many, many people would benefit from it.
Well, I would invite Micah Beckwith to re-invite him and change the language because Micah said, I challenge you to a debate.
Yeah.
Instead of challenging to debate, how about you invite him to have a conversation?
Yeah, because I don't want to have a debate in the sense of you have 1 minute. I want to say, okay, we're going to start with this topic, and then you guys are going to go, and then when we get bored with it,
we'll move on.
We'll go on to the next, almost like a Rogan type. We could probably do a whole show with those two guys.
Probably.
And no gotchas and no agenda. Just let's show society how it's supposed to operate.
I wonder if James would feel more comfortable if he knew in advance what the topics would be or the questions.
Well, or even, look, and here in the interest of seeing this, if
Just call back to his opinion pieces.
Well, I don't
explain this.
I don't think James would do this. I think he's man enough, and he's also knows me well enough to know I would never sabotage anything, and there's nothing to win or lose out of this because the election's over. But even if they were uncomfortable with me doing it, they would have no reason to be uncomfortable with you doing it. You're a woman, right? You're a strong, independent woman, Casey. If they were to say, Rob, we're not comfortable with you doing, then I'll step out. Let Casey moderate it for an hour. I'm interested in the conversation itself. I am interested in the thing that Biden claims, which he's totally not, which is turning the temperature down.
Well,
I am interested in the dialogue, and I'd love to have it.
Yeah. Okay, so where did he leave it off?
That was the last response.
Okay.
So I hope man, that would be awesome. I hope
James,
they take it.
Do you remember when he came in and we had that conversation about MLS? Hog set, and we actually agreed.
Right. I mean, he has no leg to stand on that he thinks we wouldn't treat him fairly. The only reason he wouldn't do it is he doesn't want to say the things to Micah's face that he's been writing in his opinion columns. So we'll see.
It's Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel Show 3:06 this afternoon. The latest on the Delphi murder trial. The biggest stories in Indy, Beer Sample Friday. Let's have a day.
Have you heard the saying, cash is king? This is true most of the time, but it's not when you're retired.
Hey, this is Rob.
And this is Casey.
When you're retired, cash is not king. Income is king.
Discover how you could turn your savings into a guaranteed stream of income in retirement with Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy. We trust Bill to help us with planning for our retirement, and you can too.
If you've saved more than $200,000, call Bill right now at 317-932-9912.
Social Security alone won't be enough to pay for your retirement. You need to create other sources of income that you can count on for the rest of your life.
Call Bill Demery now at 317-932-9912. That's 317-932-9912. Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy at 317-932-9912.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-9336. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-9336. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-9336. 800-444-9336.
In the fight against lung cancer, it's game on, game strong. Franciscan Health leads the way with robotic technology to find and treat cancer sooner. Our entire team of multidisciplinary experts let cancer know It's hard to play against us. Franciscan Health is changing the game for lung cancer patients. Schedule a consultation or second opinion today. Visit franciscanhealth.org/lung cancer care.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here with my friend Jack Hope, owner of Hope Plumbing. Jack, at the Sullivan House, we can't deal with any last-minute plumbing emergencies around the holidays. What do you suggest to get ready?
It's important to get your branch lines cleared because it could prevent a major disaster at some point over the holidays. And for the month of November, we have a $99 branch line clearing special for all your faithful listeners.
You heard them. Call Hope Plumbing for a $99 branch line clearing and get your home prepped for all the holiday fun.
A true partner in your health dedicates time to understanding your needs. At CenterWell Senior Primary Care, doctors make one-on-one time with you a priority so you can get all your questions answered and feel more confident in your health care. See how it feels to have a team of senior care experts working together to help you feel your best. CenterWell, it's about time. Schedule a tour today at meetcenterwell.com. That's meetcenterwell.com.
Addiction. It's hard on those who struggle with it, but those who love the addict need support too. Matt Baer and Ryan Hedrick provide help and hope with Supporting Sobriety. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on WIBC.com.
You may not know his name, but you probably remember his voice. Elwood Edwards has passed away.
Who?
You know, he's this guy.
Did he invent AOL?
We're connecting. Oh, it just hurts me when I hear that noise now.
Yeah.
He was the guy who said, "Here it comes.
You've got mail."
You've got mail.
Oh, the You Got Mail guy. So it was AOL. I mean,
Yeah.
He was the voice of AOL.
He was the voice of AOL. He didn't invent it, but he was the voice of it. He passed away. He was 74 years old. And this is a guy, he started out as a behind-the-scenes graphics guy and a camera operator at a TV station. He also worked as a radio host for a long time. And at one point, the guy who invented AOL was talking at the TV station that he was thinking about adding a voice to AOL, the feature. And they heard about this, and Elwood's wife went back and got a cassette recorder and recorded him saying 4 different lines, 4 phrases: welcome, you've got mail, files done, and goodbye. And they would eventually be heard by hundreds of millions of people and become a staple part of the AOL experience.
Kylan, I know you're never supposed to ask a woman your age, so I'm going to ask it in this form of the question. Are you over or under 25 years old?
Under.
Okay, so you have no recollection of
Nope,
AOL.
it was painful for me to listen to that,
Okay.
and I feel bad for you guys and could only understand why people are anxious these days if you grew up having to listen to that.
Okay, so it is fascinating, right? Because, you know, I was thinking about this yesterday. There was something I was trying to access, and it took like, I don't know, 5 seconds for the website to load up. And I'm like looking at the screen going, what is going on here? There must be some sort of issue. And then you are reminded of that and how long it simply took to even get on the internet. And, you know, it's like the younger people. I mean, if you're under the age of, I don't know. I mean, I was in junior high when we got AOL, 7th grade. So if you're under the age of, say, 35, you probably have no recollection
Of life before.
of this, because then by, you know, over 5 years, obviously high-speed internet. But the idea that, obviously, this is pre-cell phone era, too, for many people, other than you had a block phone or whatever. If you were on the AOL, then you could not also have access to your phone line. So many people had to have 2 phone lines in their home if they did any sort of regular telephone calls, because then you would get a busy signal. And it feels like, when we're talking about this, how my grandparents used to talk about the Depression era. But this was, what,
It wasn't that long
26,
ago.
27 years ago, right? I mean,
exactly.
how far the world has come in such a relatively short period of time. And look, I'm not saying this, and if I were, I'm a much different person today than I was as a teenager. But there was, I mean, you if you could get out of school at 3 o'clock, you could sprint home, and you had about an hour window.
Before supervision got home.
And boy, howdy, did pictures take forever to do.
Yeah, they did. Elwood, he began working in radio when he was in high school, and then he became a booth announcer in television. He hosted a radio show as well. And then there was a long time there where radio stations would hire him to be their voice guy of the radio station. And you would hear things like, "You've got Matchbox 20. You've got," and he would list all the artists that the radio station would play.
Isn't it weird? Like, okay, so that guy, I would have never known his name before this segment, would have never even really thought about it. But that voice is so iconic. And because when you sign off, didn't it say goodbye too when they're goodbye? Was that right?
Remember.
Am I imagining that? Is that one of those things where I put, I'll do this sometimes where I'll put myself in things that didn't
yep, that was one of the phrases. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you.
File's done.
And those are the "you've got mail" and the "goodbye" are two things.
Goodbye. Yeah, you're right.
That are just entrenched in my mind and probably will be till the day I take my last breath. And I would have never known the guy's name until now. And it's weird. Our society has all sorts of little hidden gems like that.
Yeah. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. And something else that happened yesterday, the Federal Reserve cut interest rates by 25 basis points.
See, this is why people just hate our government and hate the Federal Reserve. So inflation's out of control. Price of everything's out of control. The economy, we're told by the Biden administration, is gangbusters. We're told, oh, it's wonderful, it's great, it's amazing, look at the stock market. And yet, because the Federal Reserve, some rich guys don't believe other rich guys have enough, and they're so worried about Wall Street and how the rich fat cats on Wall Street are doing, they cut interest rates a couple months ago, or a month ago, or whatever it was, to try to save the election for Kamala Harris. It didn't goose the economy because, as we talked about, and there were articles written about this, the economy is already so overcooked that there's nowhere left for it to go in terms of inflation. So it didn't do anything. So their response wasn't, let's course correct, let's do it again. This is crazy. If everything is so expensive because of inflation, the worst thing you could do is be making money more accessible to people. This is crazy.
All right, well, here is the Fed announcing the rate cut.
We are committed to maintaining our economy's strength by supporting maximum employment and returning inflation to our 2% goal. Today, the FOMC decided to take another step in reducing the degree of policy restraint by lowering our policy interest rate by 1/4 percentage point.
Stop. So we're going to get inflation back to 2% by doing the exact opposite thing to get it to look, if your economy, I said this all during COVID, they wanted you to believe they could shut society down and there would be no ill effects. And so they totally, through smoke and mirrors and magic tricks, goose the economy. But when you do that, it's going to make everything more expensive. The economy's not good if you have to tinker with interest rates in order to try to make people believe that the economy is better than it is.
Yeah, it's manipulation.
There's nothing wrong with having interest rates be 6 or 7%. Money should be expensive. It should be hard to buy a home. You should have to prove you can pay it back. You should have to be able to earn. We keep getting ourselves in the same problem in the society because we keep doing the same stuff.
Well, and in the same breath, he's saying how great the economy is, and we're still working to get inflation down. So which one is it? You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. Good morning.
As the leaves turn golden and the air grows crisp, there's something special brewing. Something that captures the very essence of fall. Introducing Pumpkin Something, a smooth, spice-filled bourbon infused with the perfect mixture of allspice, pumpkin, clove, cinnamon, and ginger. It's the taste of autumn in a glass, a sip of warmth on a cool evening. Crafted with care and precision at Hotel Tango Distillery. Known for its commitment to quality and innovation, this new blend promises a unique tasting experience that celebrates the essence of fall. Pumpkin Something from Hotel Tango Distillery is guaranteed to elevate any fall cocktail. Add it to your warm cider in the evening or to your fall lattes. You can do anything with Pumpkin Something from Hotel Tango Distillery. Available for a limited time only. Visit your local liquor store and bring home the taste of fall with Pumpkin Something from Hotel Tango Distillery, because autumn never tasted so good. Sip responsibly.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code YEAR to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally family-owned for 50 years, helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Get in gear with fall savings at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get a brand new 2024 Navigator. Get an incredible $10,000 off plus 0% for 60 months. Or get $7,000 off select new 2024 Lincoln Aviators plus 0% for 60 months. So get some of those fall savings at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
Qualified buyers with approved credit. Not all buyers will qualify. Taxes and dealer fees extra. Stock number L24412. MSRP 104,200. Stock number L24208. MSRP 75,300. See dealer for complete details.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service and want a local independent American Standard air dealer you can trust like Absolute Comfort? Well, find that dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes, the jury is deliberating as we speak in the Delphi murders trial, plus what state police are looking into when it comes to a fatal crash that happened this morning. And this economist says Indiana's economy is in for a big boom. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
It's one less Biden immigration policy for President-elect Trump to undo. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A federal judge in Texas has blocked an executive order ruling that the president exceeded his authority with a plan to give legal status to hundreds of thousands.
Shielding undocumented immigrants married to U.S. citizens from deportation. The program, known as Keeping Families Together, has been on hold since it was announced by President Biden in August after Texas and other Republican-led states filed a lawsuit.
Fox's Jared Halpern. As President-elect Trump builds his next administration, he's making history.
We all remember last week, Mark Cuban got himself into a bunch of hot water when he claimed that Donald Trump doesn't like to be around strong or intelligent women. Well, Donald Trump just hired the first female chief of staff for an American president in U.S. history. Her name is Susie Wiles. She likes to keep a low profile, but she is very well liked and well respected by Trump and his orbit. She was the co-campaign chair for this successful 2024 Trump campaign.
Fox's Bill Malugin in West Palm Beach, Florida. Israel's been flying some of its citizens home from the Netherlands after they were attacked by pro-Palestinian mobs after a soccer game. Kicked and beaten, 5 were hospitalized.
Amsterdam Mayor Famke Halsema says the Israel-Gaza conflict isn't an excuse for the violence.
It has nothing to do with protest or demonstration. It was crime.
A Dutch broadcaster reported that prior to the game, an Israeli visitor was seen tearing down a Palestinian flag from a building, though police say the rioters were actively seeking out groups of Israelis and were called out to numerous incidents.
That's Fox's Evan Brown. A wildfire keeps scorching Southern California, burning down dozens of homes. Some lost almost everything.
I took a picture of my wife at the hotel last night,
and I sent it to my kids, and I said, this is the sum of everything that we own. And it was a backpack, a carry-on bag, and a banker's box.
America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Still talking it out. 51 degrees and partly cloudy downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. The fate of Delphi murder suspect Richard Allen is now in the hands of the jury. Donnie Burgess reports on where they stand so far as deliberation.
Beyond a reasonable doubt is the standard for the jury. That was the reminder from Special Judge Fran Gall. She also reminded the jury that Allen's lack of testimony is not to be held against him. The state claimed to have proven Richard Allen used his gun to control Abigail Williams and Liberty German before killing them. The defense says police were desperate for an arrest and, in the process, charged the wrong man with a flimsy case. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
State police investigating a crash in which a semi collided with two cars and then burst into flames in downtown Indy. It was rather a big shutdown on the northbound lanes of I-65 just after midnight this morning. Not sure what led to it, says Sergeant John Perrine.
We're looking at every possibility that could have happened. We did a full crash return overnight, but we just don't have those answers yet.
One person killed in the crash. Two people killed when a house exploded in Randolph County overnight. It happened in the town of Lynn, where firefighters say they had to call in extra help from fire departments nearby to help them put out the subsequent fire. It's not clear what caused the explosion, but they have already ruled out a gas leak. Economists at the IU Kelley School of Business say with interest rates expected to keep falling and strong forecasted data in manufacturing, Indiana's economy will likely see a big surge next year.
We are forecasting a pretty strong economy in 2025 for the nation. And our state is going to perform better than the rest of the country.
IU economist Phil Powell on Wish TV, but this also is making it clear that the forecast has absolutely no correlation with the recent outcome of the presidential election. Not a good night for the IU women's basketball squad. The number 25 Hoosiers lost 72-68 to Harvard.
They had 32 points off of our turnovers. Give Harvard credit. They really did a nice job against us.
Indiana turned the ball over 27 times. They face Butler next Wednesday. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Your business needs a network it can count on.
Power's out.
Comcast Business has you covered with Wi-Fi backup to help keep your business up and running, even when your power goes out.
Everybody in the warehouse good?
Lights are out, but the Wi-Fi's up. Let's power on.
It's from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Break room, you good?
Can't microwave my burrito, but Wi-Fi's fine. Let's power on.
Power on with the leader in connectivity, Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Learn how to get Comcast Business Internet and Security Edge plus Wi-Fi backup for $59 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement when you add Comcast Business Unlimited Mobile. And ask how to get up to a $600 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call or go online today. Ends 11/17/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 300 megabit per second internet, Security Edge, and Wi-Fi backup. Eco bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by B&W HVAC, Plumbing and Electrical, your American Standard air dealer.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Friday, November 8th. It is 5 minutes after 10. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Let's talk about the echo chamber for just a moment, shall we? In the lead up to 2016, the presidential election, many people were maligning the echo chamber. They believe they saw it taking over social media. People with their like-minded friends were all sharing content, and they all had the same political bent. Now, fast forward to this year and throw in some algorithms, and boy, it's just amplified.
Well, we talked about this, right, in the lead up to the election, because I started, it is amazing how the algorithm works, by the way, because I think I stumbled upon it, but then once I saw the content, I said, I'm going to click this and start engaging in this person's feed because I think they're teaching me something interesting. And it was this, I don't know, I don't think he was a newspaper guy, but he was a guy who knew data in Pennsylvania. He was clearly liberal, and he was like informing the liberal people of each day how good Pennsylvania was doing in terms of that blue firewall. And I think I told you that once I clicked on this guy's stuff and started engaging in it, because I just wanted to read the comments, two things happened. One, my algorithm started flipping where I started getting a bunch of liberal content. I was like, "Ooh, I gotta kind of like stop this. I'll know where to seek it out. I don't need it in my feed." And then the other thing was it showed me that it is the Seinfeld Bizarro world where everything that we see, they see. The way we comment, they comment. It's just the other side. And what it is a reminder of, because this guy, like I'm looking at data and the numbers he's throwing out. And after the first couple of days, they had all those Democrat early votes. And it's like, oh my gosh, they're up to whatever, 150, 200,000 out of the gate. But then it started slowing down. And I was like, okay, clearly this is not a sustained early vote momentum, which is good for Trump. Yet he would not even acknowledge that. So it's like, okay, now I know you're seeing things with your heart instead of your head, because if you were seeing it with your head, you would realize, woo, this is slowing down. And I think it was 406,000 or something was the final total, which is over a couple weeks. You're not incrementally expanding the vote the way you need to do that. It was 1 million plus in 2020. But my point in all of this is what both sides need to realize is you have your side, they have their side. It's exactly the same, except it's exactly opposite. And there's 20% in the middle that decide all these elections who don't care about any of this. You're not barking your way to change somebody else's mind the same way they're not barking to change somebody else's mind. The 20% in the middle vote on the condition of the moment. They vote on feel some of the time, as stupid as we may think that is. And they can be swayed from one election to the next based on the conditions on the ground. All the Twitter huffing and puffing, all the online huffing and puffing, all the you suck, they suck, they're evil, you're evil. Like the people who are in like and it's the same way in 2020, the tears people, right? I call them the tears people, which is you have to realize the hardcore people don't decide the elections. It's the people in the middle who make a decision based on the condition of their lives in the moment. They don't go based on Rogan. They don't go based on The View. They just go based on, here's what I'm experiencing.
In their own life.
They may casually pay attention until the very end, and then they make a choice. And this time, they made a choice that they were going to go with Trump because they were unhappy about the condition of the country. That's all it came down to. That's almost all of these elections come down to.
I think there's a direct correlation to how upset people react to how small their echo chamber was. Because if they were getting fed only that Harris is winning and this is going to be amazing, it's so shocking when that didn't happen.
And one of the things that's very interesting to me is, and my wife and I were talking about this last night, about the level of hysteria that is now being created because of social media where all logic goes out the window. So let's say you were a liberal person and it didn't go the way you wanted. All right, so the reality is with Donald Trump, you're probably going to get enhanced border enforcement, which I would think we would universally agree is a good thing, whether you're for large immigration or small immigration. Unless you're just a complete Marxist, you should want to know who's coming in and out of your country, and you should want some guide posts based on who's coming in and out of the country. You're going to get tightening of where our dollars go overseas, which, again, I would think every rational person would say we need to examine, since we have no money, it's all printed money at this point. We want an enhanced examination. We shouldn't be giving hundreds of billions of dollars to countries who hate us without end dates or goalposts and whatever. I mean, the reality is we have no audit on what we've done with what's been done with the Ukrainian money, whether it's succeeded, failed. Every person should have a vested interest because it's their money and the money of future generations knowing that. You're going to get that with Trump. You're going to get an energy policy that will probably make fuel and gasoline and heat somewhat more affordable. I don't think it's going to be a huge spike one way or another. Now, there are some people who believe the world is going to end if we continue to use fossil fuels. However, I saw a stat one time where like one volcanic eruption is more than 100 years of Americans using all of the stuff. So, I mean, we keep having volcanic eruptions and the world doesn't end. But I mean, the point of all of this is Trump is actually not conservative. Abortion, whether Kamala won or Trump won, there's not super majorities to enact a national abortion ban or enact laws that would allow people to have abortions across the country. The votes do not exist either way, no matter who is the president. It's going to be a state-by-state issue no matter who the president was. So if you're a person who that was your thing and you hate the way Indiana's abortion law operates, I'm sorry, it wasn't going to change. If you don't like Indiana's abortion law, either start winning elections or move somewhere else. That if I lived in a liberal state like New York or California that basically has no restrictions around it whatsoever, I would probably choose to move somewhere else. So my point of all this is people aren't even thinking rationally once you start walking through it logically. What are you that upset about? Are you that upset that you're going to get enhanced border security and a different immigration system, cheaper gas and heat, and you're going to kind of know where your money's going in regards to giving it to foreign allies / adversaries? I don't know, man. I just don't think Trump is not conservative. He's not. I don't know what the fear is because the country ran pretty good the last time that he was the president.
Well, a lot of these Democrats, they're being fed propaganda and they're living in that echo chamber and just so closed off from the rest of the country. And when you hear that message repeatedly that, oh, you need to be afraid, this guy is Hitler, it starts to sink into some of these people and they can't let it go when they're not hearing opposition at all. Here's a former Democrat Senator, Claire McCaskill, and she's saying that Trump knows America better than the Democrats do.
When we are too afraid to say that, hey, college kids, if you're trashing a campus at Columbia University because you're unhappy about some sort of policy and you're taking over a university, and you're trashing it and preventing other students from learning, that is unacceptable. But we're so worried about alienating one or another cohort in our coalition that we don't know what to say when normal people look at that and say, wait a second, I send my kids to college so they can learn, not so that they can burn buildings and trash lawns, right? And so on and so forth. When we put pronouns after names and say she, her, as opposed to saying, you know what, if I call you by the wrong pronoun, call me out, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But stop with the virtue signaling and just speak to people like they're normal. There's nothing I'm going to say to Shermichael that I'm not going to say to you, that I'm not going to say to somebody else. I speak the same language to everybody. But that's not what Democrats do. We constantly try to parse out different ways of speaking to different cohorts because our focus groups or our polling shows that so-and-so appeals to such and such. That's not how normal people think. It's not common sense. And we need to start being the party of common sense again. Joe Biden is not responsible for that.
Okay, so that actually wasn't the former senator. That was a Democrat strategist.
That's fine, but it
But
worked.
she was brilliant. She goes on for about 2.5 minutes and says that, this isn't Joe Biden's fault. This is the Democrat Party's fault with the way that they have, presented themselves.
Well, look, yeah, and so isn't it fascinating? Now the burning down or the trashing of the college campuses, now the rioting, now the looting. When it worked for them, they were fine with it. When it was the catalyst of white guilt, which helped them win an election, they were fine with it. Now that it's working against them, hey man, you gotta clean your act up. And I think one of the things that people underestimated is how sick of the crap in this society that people are. She made a good point about the pronoun. Remember when Micah Beckwith said, I'm going to fire anybody who puts the pronouns in the emails. And remember Starr and all these people lost their minds about he's a ist, he's a phobe. And my point on this was he's the head of that office. Just like if you work here, they could tell me. Now, of course, I'm not a pronoun person. That might shock some people. But if they tell people here, don't put your pronouns in your email, you work for them. You can either do that or you can go work somewhere else. The same thing as Micah Beckwith can handle his office a certain way. The comptroller can handle her office a certain way. Diego, if he knows where his office is, can handle that office a certain way. And you can either work there under those rules and regulations, or you can go somewhere else. You have the freedom to move in this country. And remember just the outcry. She just said the same thing. The Democrat strategist lady just said the same thing that Micah Beckwith had as a policy, which is cut the virtue signaling crap. So I guess when she says it, it's okay. When he says it, he's an ist, he's a phobe, he's a whatever. Isn't that amazing?
She started off by saying, I'm going to speak some hard truths here. The Democrat Party is not the party of common sense.
You have to meet. And look, I told somebody this yesterday, or I've told multiple people this now. I said, if you're upset about the results of the election, give it a year. Everybody will hate Trump in a year, okay? I said, this is because this is how our society operates, because the mistake people make is they look to the government for solutions. It's why we ping pong back and forth between the parties. The answer does not lie in the government. It does not lie in the politicians. The answer lies in you and creating an environment by which you have more liberty and freedom. There's a famous line of the office where for some reason all the management is out. I can't remember exactly the whole backstory to it, but all the management is out for some funny reason, and the office is running on its own just fine for weeks. And Jim says something defective. It turns out if you just hire people who have pride in their work and you leave them alone, they'll just do their job.
Hire good people and let them do their job.
That's the way America works, right? The majority of people, now you need police, you need, military, you need all those sort of things. But if you just leave people alone and allow them to use their God-given talents and abilities and foster an environment by which they can do that, the country will run just fine. We don't need the government for the overwhelming majority of the things the government is involved in. But because the politicians can't ever get that through their heads, give it a year. Everybody's going to hate Trump. The Democrats will probably win the Senate in 2026 or whatever year that is. Trump will be miserable, and then you'll be happy again. This is the way our society works.
Well, you do have to consider, though, if you're this upset about an election because your guy didn't win, the government should not be that big in your life.
One more thing, and then we got to get to a break. The politicians on both sides do not recognize, oftentimes you have to meet voters where they are. And I thought that lady you played is a great example of that, where if you're the Democrats, both locally in Indiana and nationally, it became appealing to insane extremism. Like she said, the all trans all the time agenda, the pronoun people, the BLM people until that became no longer politically viable. The pro Hamas people. And there is a way that you can say we're going to respect and treat people with dignity, which is fine, without pandering and making your entire agenda about facilitating things that the majority of people disagree with. The reality is the Democrats lost to a bad candidate in Trump because they were so wed to insanity on their base, they were not meeting voters where they were.
Right. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Finally, a sports betting podcast for real dudes, not these male Kardashians that you see on television. The Degenerates Next Door Sports Betting Podcast. We do all the homework, we do it for free, and we don't wear skinny jeans.
The Degenerates Next Door. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Download today The Degenerates Next Door.
If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Happy Friday, you fabulous people. It's Rob from my friends and family at Life Church. Man, we love Life Church. They've had such a great impact on my life, on my family's life. And it's Friday. That means Sunday is right around the corner. This Sunday, if you're feeling called to something different, it could be a new church home or even a first church home. If that's you, check out Life Church. You got everything to gain, nothing to lose. Life Church is warm. They're welcoming. Many WIBC listeners have found a home at Life Church over the years. You'll be in good company. And they make it easy for you with campuses all across central Indiana, Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton, plus awesome online services. Learn more about everything at lifechurchin.com.
I received a call one time, and the man said, "You probably won't call me back because I'm just a nobody." I immediately called him back. Nobody's a nobody.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan.
I always wanted to be the lawyer who represented the little guy, the voiceless, the powerless.
I was rear-ended by a car probably doing about 50 or 55 miles an hour. My car caught on fire. I'm a paraplegic, so I couldn't get out of the car. They were struggling to get me out of the vehicle. After the accident, I gave Morgan & Morgan a call, and they understood what I was going through, and they were there to help me each step of the way. It made me feel that I had people behind my back to help me and resolve the case.
I represented him, and we did well because we get the chance to help people put their lives back together and to go on as best they can after a life-altering day. There's only one you, there's only one Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Don't let the light go.
Oh, this is perfect timing, Casey.
Don't let the light.
What's going on?
Well, this is perfect. So that's Kendall Casey show. I'm Rob Casey's here. We just had this conversation about how Democrats are not meeting voters where they are, and how in every election there's 40% both ways, there's 20% in the middle. And those people, by and large, don't consume the noise. They don't hear the noise. They're simply going to vote based on how they're feeling in the moment and the perception of their existence. So for all the Trump is Hitler, Trump's a Nazi, you're a fascist, that all gets tuned out. On the other side, you're a liberal, radical, extremist maniac, that gets tuned out. The Spider-Men pointing at each other, right? And there was an interesting article, op-ed in the Star. Now, I may get this guy's last name wrong, and I'm sorry if I do. His name is Chris Chyung, I think is how it's pronounced, Chyung. He is the executive director of Indiana's Conservation Voters, and he was former Democrat in the Indiana House of Representatives. So this is a Democrat writing this piece. And the title of the piece is, I'm a Democrat who won in Indiana. We need a rebrand. And he is basically, because sometimes we say things and they go, "Oh, Rob doesn't know what he's talking." Or how would they know? How would the shock jocks know? I'm going to read you part of this that this former Democrat state rep wrote. It's a long piece, but it basically is saying the same things that we just said. Years later, the Indiana Democratic Party has chosen to run a pearl-clutching Victorian sensibilities campaign instead of a gunslinging economic populist one that reflects these pro-American stories. Their uninspiring strategy, combined with a hollowed-out infrastructure, no financial resources, and flight of young political talent out of state, has landed like a whisper in spite of some truly talented candidates.
Yeah.
That's a Democrat saying the same thing we just said.
Yeah, it's a lot of it has to do with messaging, and they continue to be the party of the elite, and Trump was for the little guy, the working American who is living their daily life and is sick of this nonsense being pushed on them.
Yeah, I've used this analogy for years, and one of my radio mentors taught me this about radio, and then it ended up being true in politics. Successful radio stations, just like successful political campaigns or political movements, are when as many people as possible feel they have their hand on the football and we are moving together. There's not just one star running back doing all the work. Like when you see somebody score a touchdown in the NFL, hey, it's the linemen are in there and the quarterback's running down and the guy who caught the ball or ran, everybody's involved together because the premise is we were all involved in that touchdown. We all take credit. We all celebrate together. We win together. We lose together. And what the Democrats are not doing, and until they realize this, and it's especially true in this state, is they're not, like this guy said, talking about things that inspire people to want to go with them. And there are so many opportunities because of where the Republicans now, hopefully Braun will fix some of these and it will no longer be a door open for them. This property tax thing was a freebie. It was a freebie in the primary, and none of the Republicans wanted to take it, other than maybe like a Jamie Rittenauer, but she had such a financial disadvantage. But Curtis or Chambers or Suzanne, none of those people, we were begging them. We're like, this is a freebie.
For either party.
Yes. And then McCormick, it's like, okay, so you're in a Republican supermajority state. You have to find areas that are Republican issues, but the Republicans are failing on. Tailor your message around that. And just lay off the crazy stuff that isn't going to get you anything. And she would not do that. I mean, her property tax plan was ridiculous. It bankrupted the state in 4 years. It was a giveaway to public education and local governments. And so people are like, well, you're not serious either. So why would I vote? You have to meet people where they are. You have to find out. It's like running a business. Why is Walmart so successful? They offer people things they want at a price they can afford. If you go to Walmart, hey, it might not be the best, but it's exactly what I need, and I can afford to buy it, right? The Democrats are running some sort of eclectic boutique with prices most people can't afford and things most people don't want, and then they're going, why didn't our business succeed?
Well, and then they're yelling at you when you don't agree with them.
Right.
Yeah, you want this. You don't know it. I'm telling you because I'm better than you that you want this.
The property tax plan thing was such a freebie. It was such a free. And by the way, if Don Rainwater had raised any money and had a viable property tax plan, he wouldn't have got the pathetic vote total he got this time. But people were looking for someone to believe in, and they didn't get it from the Democrats this time. It is that simple. Like, it really is that simple.
Did you see that the Harvard professors canceled class for students because they felt blue? The Harvard newspaper, it's called the Harvard Crimson. Yeah, it was put out in that. And you're still hearing from some people who are upset about the Trump win. Here's this guy. He says that he's going to leave the United States. Where have we heard this? I'm moving. This guy says he's going to leave the United States, but I want you to pay attention to where he's going.
Okay, so since Trump won the election, we're cooked. Yup. I'm going to be leaving the U.S. and I'm going to be moving to Hawaii. So we'll see how it goes.
Somebody going to tell him?
But this is another example of this, right? Like this ridiculousness of I can't come to work or I can't go to school or I'm going to leave the country. Like when Obama won in 2008, you know what I was like? Oh, man, that sucks. And that's going to be probably not great for the country.
But what did you do? You got back to work,
the next day. Like the next. And then when Biden won, air quotes, in 2020. Where are those 16 to 18 million voters? Kerr, darling, have you found the 16 to 18 million voters that are on a lost island somewhere?
No, actually, they're stuck under my mattress.
It's about as much chance that they actually existed, right? But the point is, Biden's the president. I came in here the next day. I said, boy, our lives are going to be interesting going forward. And thankfully, I'm in a business where I can talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, just the responses. And then people see this stuff and they're like, you're not behaving like an adult. You're not behaving like a rational person. You're not behaving like people we want running our country. That's why you lost.
We've got your voicemails coming up, plus the news on 93 WIBC.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you got to make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Cutting rates. It's 53 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. The Fed is cutting interest rates by 1/4 point. Thursday's decision comes on the heels of some positive signs that inflation may be cooling. In his presser announcing the decision, Chairman Jerome Powell also took a few extra questions. Fox's Jared Halpern.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell was quick to respond to a question about resigning if asked to by President-elect Trump.
No.
Powell says a president does not have the authority to push him out before his term ends in 2026. President-elect Trump appointed Powell to lead the central bank in 2017. He was nominated to a second term by President Biden in 2022. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
A federal judge is tossing out a Biden immigration program that kept undocumented spouses of American citizens from being deported. President Biden started a policy in August in which allowed undocumented spouses to work legally in the U.S. while they sought citizenship. Well, a Texas judge says Biden exceeded his authority in unilaterally doing that. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
As the summer fades and the cool breeze of fall sets in, it's the perfect time to get back to the basics, especially when it comes to your financial future. At Howard Bailey Financial, we believe in simplifying your retirement plan. Our team of advisors help you build a customized retirement strategy that is designed to help reduce risk, increase income, and mitigate tax. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your plan, we're here to guide you every step of the way. It's never too early or too late to make sure your financial future is secure. Text BASICS to 888-262-1104 to download your complimentary retirement planning toolkit today. That's BASICS to 888-262-1104. Howard Bailey Financial. Back to the basics. Forward to your future. Howard Bailey Securities, LLC is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Please see disclosures at howardbailey.com.
Hey, good morning. It's Casey, and I'd like to talk with you about improving your space with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They can totally transform any concrete that you have around your house, whether it's your garage floor, your driveway, pool deck coating, or even your patio. Consider them for indoor and outdoor concrete. Their number, 317-751-9070, or you can find them online, galaxyconcretecoatings.com, for a free quote. Whether it's indoor, outdoor concrete, Galaxy Concrete Coating.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 463-251-1912. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics at 463-251-1912. That's 463-251-1912.
Healthcare.gov has plans for health because you have plans for life. All plans cover doctor visits and emergency care to keep you and your family running strong. All plans cover hospital stays and prescriptions so you can have peace of mind. Visit healthcare.gov to explore health plans from the brands you know. 4 out of 5 customers can find a health plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Enroll at healthcare.gov by December 15th for coverage starting January 1st. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Dropping temperatures? B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical has you covered. Visit bplusw.com/radio today. B&W is your independent American Standard Air dealer.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIPC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatment at 317-559-PAIN.
Welcome to it. It is the Friday edition of your voicemails at 317-684-8444. Questions, comments, smart remarks with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Although today we're going to start off with some sympathy.
Oh.
We ended the show yesterday with you sharing with everybody about the passing of your beloved dog, Bruce.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, myself included, got a little emotional yesterday.
Yeah.
You held it together. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I hope
Trained professional.
I hope you had a good night last night. I know it was probably a little quieter around the house.
Yeah. You know, one of the crazy things is Bruce, because bulldogs are they're very they're messy dogs, Casey. And so one of the things I've always done wherever we've been is Bruce has had his own room, and I've been fortunate in every house I've been in. I could make the room where I could see him at any time and have quick access to him. Like he wasn't walled off or whatever. There was always an area where you could see him, and then if you needed something, go get him, and I could go in there and play with him. And that way it was always like, you can destroy this room of the house. This is your, and he always took pride in that. Like, I have this room I may destroy, and it is mine to do with as I see fit. And so obviously we had cleaned all of his stuff out, and Gabrielle and I were talking about last night. She came home, and I was standing in the room, and it was like, this house echoes now.
Yeah.
Because all that stuff is gone.
So my Gracie dog passed away in January. We both lost our dogs this year. And Jim right away wanted the dog bowl and everything put away.
Yeah.
He said, I can't see it.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had to do that too?
Yeah, and since I knew it was coming, like I had the I guess I will say good fortune of knowing for a couple days that it was going to happen. So I had already made peace with everything. And one of the ththings that I did for Bruce is, you can see the whole thing it's on Facebook. My Facebook's public. You can see it. Is I wrote this, real long thing for him, and I read it to him before we left. And I said, when I die, I want to know what they write about me in the papers the next day when I'm gone. So I said, I'm going to give you the same treatment that I want me, and here's what they're going to write about you in the papers the next day. And so no, it was easier to do that because I knew, short of some sort of prognostication that we weren't expecting, that he was not going to be coming home. So it was easy to go ahead and just do it once I got home.
Well, here's our first phone call, and it is about Bruce.
Hey, Rob and Casey, I heard about your dog. I never got to meet your dog, but it kind of brought back the grief when I lost my dogs. But dogs have an unconditional love, and then I've also heard even a minister give out a lot of verses, a guy that was on TV. I don't know if he still is anymore or not, but he said there's proof that dogs are in heaven.
Yeah, Mike and I have talked about this quite a bit, and I think I'll definitely see Bruce when the new Earth is revealed. I don't have any doubt about that.
Here's another phone call about Bruce.
Hey, Rob. Howdy with the Heavy Natties. Long-time listener, definitely not first-time caller. This one's for you, Rob. My condolences. Just had to owe Yeller, my best friend of 16 years. And no, that's not.
People can relate to what you've been through.
Well, I was talking to Bruce yesterday when I got home, and I said, look, dude, I said, I loved you more than I can ever express. And I told him, I said, you got 1,000 likes across social media on your obituary, and you got a whole segment on WIBC. Like, if that's not a rock star send-off, I don't know what else I could do for you, man. So, I'd like to think one of the reasons I did it is because I know so many people lose pets, and it's sort of like a personal thing where they don't have anybody outside of their immediate family to share it with. They don't have the platform that I do. And part of what I wanted to do, and I knew it would make Bruce proud, because like I said, his whole life was about goodness and giving love to others, is talking about in a public forum of saying this happens to all of us, right? You're not alone when you go through these feelings. I'm fortunate that I have a platform, and because Bruce was a larger-than-life personality, people kind of knew him who didn't even know him. But it's okay to feel the same thing is happening with your dog, even if it isn't kind of famous on the internet, or you don't have a radio show to talk about. It's okay. Everybody feels this, and it's okay to go through this process when your pet passes away.
Last night, I went back and I re-listened to the segment about Bruce, and it got me choked up again. And then it made me think about Gracie dog. And then I was pulling up all the pictures of her, and just,
one of the, and I'm sure you found this with your own dog, is that, they're not totally comprehending what you're telling them or what's going on, in the sense of, do they totally understand the English language, right? But one of the amazing things about dogs that I don't know if any other animal can do this, is you feel as though, and on some level, they are engaging with you when you're actually communicating with them. Like Bruce understood emotion. Like, he understood how to behave in based on the emotion that was being presented in front of him. And I think dogs are just amazing creatures with their ability to have almost human-like interactions with people without clearly not being human nor understanding the English language.
Here's one more phone call about Bruce.
Hey, guys. I just heard about your buddy there, Rob. I'm so sorry, bud. You'll get to see him again, okay? You will get to see him again. I promise you that. I'm so sorry.
Thank you for sharing it with everyone, Rob, because you can tell by the phone calls that a lot of people were touched by that and understand.
Yeah, our audience is awesome. And, it's funny because when we kind of made the choice, what we kind of felt we had to do, and so we had a couple days build up, and I kind of did that just for myself, that I needed to get all right with it. But one of the things I told Gabrielle is I said, and I feel selfish about this, but I said, one of the things I'm most saddened about, obviously other than losing my best friend, is there's going to be so many people that are going to be sad too. And you're sitting there and you're like, I feel like I'm letting these people down. Like, we kept him alive at a high level for as long as we could. And then you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, not only am I going to be crushed, but so many other people are going to be crushed when they find out he's not there anymore. And I'm like sitting there then juggling that going, well, am I just a selfish you-know-what for saying that? Or, I mean, I'm genuinely thinking about all these other people who never met my dog in person who are going to be crushed that he's not there anymore. So, man, our audience is just the best, and I love you guys, and thank you for all the wonderful things that you've said, and that's just, you guys have made it just such a, I mean, it's a horrible experience, right? Anytime somebody loses a pet, but you guys have made it so much better, and you guys are awesome.
Okay, can we talk about the ratings from the election?
Sure.
Okay, we had a conversation about that yesterday and how the total viewership was down compared to the year 2020.
On cable and news and traditional news outlets.
Total viewers, 42.3 million across 18 networks. It was a 25% decline from the 2020 election cycle. And here's a phone call and their hot take on why that is.
Hi, Rob and Casey. This is Cindy. I'm calling because I'm listening to your podcast and it's to not many viewers this year for the election. Well, many people that I actually talked to or was texting said they couldn't handle, the nerves were killing them because they kept feeling like it was going to be a stolen election again, and their blood pressure was up. They were a nervous wreck, so most of them just turned their TVs off at about 9 o'clock or around there, and they said they just could not deal with it. They prayed about it. They went to bed. They woke up and they saw the victory that they had hoped for. But I can tell you, I didn't go to bed till 4 o'clock in the morning, nor did a few of my friends. But many, many people that I spoke with said that. And my sisters all said that they couldn't deal with it. They were afraid to see what was happening. And isn't that sad? There's so much fear, and they knew that they couldn't trust the electorate process again. They were fearful. So I'm hoping that maybe this time around they'll see that the Republicans are awake and doing their part to change that in the future. That's my take on it. Anyway, great coverage. Talk later. Thanks. Bye.
So a couple things. I know we got to get to Hammer, but one thing I think that is happening is people were like me and they're going to online outlets to get the coverage. And I'll
streaming and social media over traditional legacy.
Charlie Kirk did was a million times better than what I've ever seen the network do. Those guys declared it over at midnight. They were 2.5 hours ahead of the networks. They knew the states. They were giving, I watched it for whatever that was, the two hours. I said, these guys clearly know what they're doing. They're Trump fans, but they're presenting fair evidence. And when they said, that's it, it's over, I said, okay, I'm going to bed. My wife stayed up, but I actually fell asleep because these guys know what they're doing. It's over. One thing people can do, because that lady had said about the anxiety, you can generally get a pretty good idea on how the early states come in, on how the rest of the country is going to go. And what I mean by that is, so like in 2012, Mike Pence barely became the governor of Indiana. And Richard Murdoch obviously lost his U.S. Senate race. That should be a bellwether to everybody else, right? But then compare it to 2024, where Braun wins 54% of the vote. Oh, this race is going to be so close. Banks is winning 60%. Rokita's 60%. Well, that's telling you where the middle people are if they're going to Republicans. And then Florida came in almost immediately after. Well, that's supposed to be it's not really a swing state anymore, but it's certainly less red than Indiana. That state was overwhelmingly red. I had a pretty good idea at that point.
Yeah. My sister-in-law was texting me and said, okay, what are we looking for? And I said, well, it depends on how early they call for Indiana. The earlier it is, the better it is for Trump. The later it is, the worse it is. 7:01, they called it. She was texting back, hey, they called it for Indiana. That's good, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, you get trends and things like that, and obviously each state is its own thing, but it's pretty rare that middle people in one place are not kind of middle people in other places. And so I felt at that point, I was like, okay, I think it's going to be an okay night. All right, Hammer's next.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show 3:06 this afternoon. The latest on the Delphi murder trial. The biggest stories in Indy, Beer Sample Friday. Let's have a day.
Mortgage rates are down and creating more active buyers and sellers. If you've been waiting, now is a great time to sell your home before more homes flood the market, driving down prices. Maximize your home sale now with the market expert who delivers maximum money in less time, Mark Dietl. Maybe you want guaranteed no-hassle home sale, but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed-upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Mark in Danville had to say about working with Mark Dietl. I finished building my new perfect home out of state and needed out of my old place quickly. Plus, to cover the cost of the new home, I needed a big price. The Mark Dietl team was my answer. My home sold in 3 days on the market over my asking price. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl at 317-755-4232 for all the details or go online to markdietl.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
Hey, Bill, where you been? You're overdue for a haircut.
Man, listen, my water pipes burst and flooded my house. Place a mess. I've been staying with my daughter till I can figure out what to do.
You trying to fix it and move back in?
No way. It's too big a mess. It'll cost me tens of thousands of dollars. I ain't got that kind of money.
You trying to sell it then?
Well, that's what I'd like to do, but who's going to buy my house in this condition?
Did you call Simple Quarters?
Simple Quarters?
Simple Quarters bought our house when we were in a jam. We needed to move real quick. They closed fast and gave us cash.
Simple Quarters will buy in any condition?
That's right. They buy as is. You don't have to repair anything or clean anything out. It's simple.
What do I have to do?
Just call them. They'll do a quick walkthrough, then they'll make you an offer.
Simple Quarters is a local Christian company that loves to help people in difficult situations. Call Simple Quarters at 317-900-HOME. That's 317-900-HOME. Check us out at simplequarters.com.
Have you heard the saying, cash is king? This is true most of the time, but it's not when you're retired.
Hey, this is Rob.
And this is Casey.
When you're retired, cash is not king. Income is king.
Discover how you could turn your savings into a guaranteed stream of income in retirement with Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy. We trust Bill to help us with planning for our retirement, and you can too.
If you've saved more than $200,000, call Bill right now at 317-932-9912.
Social Security alone won't be enough to pay for your retirement. You need to create other sources of income that you can count on for the rest of your life.
Call Bill Demery now at 317-932-9912. That's 317-932-9912. Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy at 317-932-9912.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou, a term provider, 800-444-9336. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-444-9336. That's 800-444-9336. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with, call Big Lou at 800-444-9336.
A true partner in your health dedicates time to understanding your needs. At CenterWell Senior Primary Care, doctors make one-on-one time with you a priority, so you can get all your questions answered and feel more confident in your health care. See how it feels to have a team of senior care experts working together to help you feel your best. CenterWell, it's about time. Schedule a tour today at meetcenterwell.com. That's meetcenterwell.com.
Weekend emergency? No problem. They're here for you 7 days a week at B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical. B+W.com/radio to learn more. B&W is your independent American Standard air dealer.
Tailgate this Sunday from 10 to 1 at the parking lot at McCarty and Church Street before the Colts-Bills game, presented by Jack Daniels and Twin Peaks. Register to win tickets to the game and $100 in Colts cash from Bud Light. No purchase necessary.
Sporting the very stylish Buc-ee's t-shirt, Jason Hammer from the #1 rated Hammer and Nigel program in the studio. Good morning.
We've got some new items at the Hammer and Nigel Show merch store now. So if you go to store.hammerandnigel.com, there's a new Donald Trump style shirt, the Terminator shirt.
Nice.
It's got Donald Trump's face on it. He's back. So if you'd like that, that is available. And we have two special Christmas holiday shirts. One of them is very simple. It ends any argument. Die Hard is a Christmas movie t-shirt. And the other one, and this one is my favorite, it's a very festive holiday message. Merry Christmas to everyone except CNN. So all of those shirts, plus your favorite, Hammer and Nigel gear, hoodies and pint glasses, the Rob Kendall collection, the Guy Relford shirt. Get that special somebody in your family that's a Hammer and Nigel fan, the gift that keeps on giving. Go to store.hammerandnigel.com.
We're doing something tomorrow.
You and I have a mandate tomorrow.
Oh, that's great.
So we solicited on the air that, hey, if any of our listeners are getting married, I haven't been to a wedding in a guest capacity in a long-ass time.
Yeah.
Because I've been a wedding
You've been working
DJ
it
for a long time, and I'm just looking forward to being somebody's guest. And if you invite me, I'll bring Rob with me, and we'll show up to your reception. We will drink your booze. We're going to eat your food. We'll talk politics. We'll get out on the dance floor. We'll do all the stuff.
We'll even get up there like Steve Buscemi and the wedding singer and make a speech for you if you want us to.
Yeah, absolutely. So tomorrow, Rob and I will be attending the wedding, and I've got the invitation right here. Natalie Sue Glidden to Bradley Paul Scheidler.
No, we don't know these people.
No idea.
We've never met them in our lives. They did invite us to their wedding.
We're going to bring a gift.
Yeah. What time do we go? What time is this at?
So the reception starts at 3.
You're not going to the ceremony?
No. Nope. That's for family, and that's the important stuff. So I figure I don't want to be there right when it starts at 3, right? So I'm going to pick up Rob at 2:15. I'm going to be the man on this date. And
oh, you get to be the passenger princess.
My dad was like, Hammer's driving, right? I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, he handles his booze better than you.
It's true. Very true. And, I mean, I know that Rob's going through an emotional time right now with his dog.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if I find out he's got any sort of issues with his dad, I'm home free, right? That's my day for the night. I might wear the same cologne his dad wears. It's a power move.
So we're leaving at 2:15.
Yes, and it's about an hour drive. I think it's out of Greensburg.
Here's the thing, though. That still may make us home in time for the big night of college football. Now, there's some good games in the afternoon we might miss, but maybe they'll have a TV there.
You've got action tonight.
I do. I get my first loss out of the way this evening.
Hey, your boy pulled it out last night.
That's right.
We are 1-0 in the NFL. I had the over in the Ravens and Bengals game.
I won some money on that. Thank you.
So check out the podcast, The Degenerates Next Door. There's a college football edition. There's an NFL edition. We do these every Tuesday and Thursday.
Now, I want to clarify something real quick. I've got that Colts game. I've got a play on the Colts game. I want to clarify to all our listeners, now that Pittman is on the injury report, if Pittman does not play...
Abort.
Abort.
Go full Destiny Wells.
Yeah, we believe on our show in abortion of your bet up until the time of kickoff.
Up until the moment of kickoff.
We call it pulling a Destiny Wells.
Okay. What's coming up today?
We're on Delphi Watch. We're going to see what happens. And until then, it's Beer Sample Friday.
Thanks, Hammer. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
It's a bully that will not let up until you do something about it. And the worst part is that the bullying happens when you're at your most vulnerable. You might as well have your hands tied behind your back while that bully puts one hand over your mouth and pinches your nose with the other. He'll let up, let you catch your breath, and then he'll do it again. Sleep apnea is a bully. Not long ago, we heard our friend John tell you about how his bully was stopping his breathing in his sleep over 145 times an hour. Think about what that can do to your body's organs. It's no wonder that the snowball effects of long-term obstructive sleep apnea are heart disease, stroke, even depression and anxiety. But this problem is solvable, and we have solutions, and you'll be surprised at how simple they are.
To date, Advent has solved over 40,000 breathing triangle problems. It's time to put that bully in his place. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows. When you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Results may vary.
Looking for a great place to go for car care?
Hi, this is Lonnie Hinkle from Jiffy Lube, and I'd like to share the top 5 reasons that every Hoosier should trust Jiffy Lube to help keep their car running safe and well. Number 5, our computer system holds the maintenance data for every make and model. We know exactly what your car needs and when it needs to be done. Number 4, Jiffy Lube's training system is in the Training Magazine Hall of Fame. Along with companies like Ritz-Carlton, Starbucks, and Nordstrom's, our team does the job right. Number 3, you never need an appointment. We are ready to serve you whenever it works best for you, so come on in and see us. Number 2, Jiffy Lube accepts competitor coupons so you can get our great service at the desperate price of our competitors. And number 1, Jiffy Lube is a one-stop maintenance shop, and we make it easy for you to take great care of your car. Avoid the repair shop by getting your maintenance done at Jiffy Lube. And we now offer brakes, tires, tune-ups, and minor repairs at most stores.
So head to Jiffy Lube. There's really no reason to take your car anywhere else.
Joyner Homes has been building truly custom homes in Central Indiana for 18 years. They can build anywhere that you can bring a builder or on your own private lot. They make it easy to build your dream home with an in-house team of architecture and design specialists. First step, visit joynerhomes.com. Check out floor plans, pricing, locations. You can even start from scratch. The design studio is where you pick out all the fun stuff, all the coolest stuff in one spot. And they're with you every step to ensure you stay on budget. That's joynerhomes.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Welcome to Staples.
Help! My family's in for the holidays and I need gift ideas.
That's why we're here. Staples has amazing deals on everything you need. Photo gifts, laptops, and gaming systems. Even custom holiday cards and shipping solutions to send gifts to the family that can't make it.
Perfect! Have anything for Uncle Frank? I love him, but the guy is never quiet.
Noise-canceling headphones. For you.
You get it.
Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples. And right now at Staples, save up to $350 on select computers. Ends 11/16, in-store only.
Have you compared your options during Medicare open enrollment? This year, it's important to compare and make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Bee's offering our Black Friday sale, 52% off, plus 10% manufacturer rebates and 18 months, no interest, no payments.
Coming up in 2 minutes, watching and waiting. Deliberation still going on in the Delphi murders trial. Plus, state police talk about a person killed in a fiery crash this morning downtown, and Indiana's economy might be able to expect a big year in 2025. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recycler Studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
It's not just anti-Semitism, it's a crime. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News has what the mayor says in Amsterdam, where dozens of people are under arrest after mobs of pro-Palestinian protesters attacked a group of Israeli soccer fans.
After the game, footage shows Israeli fans being kicked and stomped on the ground, running, even jumping into Amsterdam's famous canals to escape.
Fox's Matt Finn in Tel Aviv says 5 of those fans were hospitalized. Others evacuated on planes Israel sent to the Netherlands.
We have now counted 6 additional emergency flights that have been scheduled from the Netherlands back here to Israel to bring home Israelis who are still
in the Amsterdam area.
Now, 2 Jewish students were also attacked in Chicago, where Fox's Mike Tobin reports.
DePaul University says the victims were a couple of males, 21 and 27 years old, visibly displaying support for Israel. It's not clear what that meant, if they had T-shirts, flags, signs, or whatever. The attackers were masked. They punched and beat the DePaul students and knocked them to the ground. According to police, the attackers made anti-Semitic comments before running off. DePaul University President Robert Manuel put out a statement that the faculty is outraged.
From anti-Semitism to racism, the NAACP and several state attorneys general condemning text messages sent to black Americans, many of them students,
claiming they've been chosen to pick cotton at a nearby plantation and must be ready with their belongings at a specified time sharp. The messages started going out this week after Election Day. Authorities urge anyone who receives these texts to report them to their local police department or reach out to the FBI.
Fox's Tom Rigotti, the message text now says some of those messages appear to have come from its user accounts. A win in court for Republicans undoing a Biden executive order. A federal judge in Texas blocked it, siding with 14 states that sued, claiming the president exceeded his authority with a program to shield from deportation hundreds of thousands of immigrants here illegally who are married to American citizens. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
No verdict yet. It's 55 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Deliberations continuing this hour in the Carroll County Courthouse as the jury decides whether or not to convict Richard Allen in the Delphi murders. The jury deliberated for a few hours yesterday before calling it a day without a verdict. So far, that's the status quo as we await their decision. A fiery crash killed a person this morning on I-65 downtown. It started when a woman had a broken down car on the side of the interstate, and then her car was run into by oncoming traffic.
It's a terrifying situation. If you find yourself where your car is breaking down or broken down, if you can get it out of the road, absolutely whatever it takes. Even if that means drive into the ditch, drive into the grass.
Sergeant John Perrine, a semi, was also involved and caught fire. Indiana's economy may be in for a world of a lot of growth in the coming year.
So with interest rates coming down, this is helping manufacturing in Indiana, and that's going to disproportionately drive our growth relative to the rest of the nation.
IU economist Phil Powell on Wish TV. He says this will happen exponentially more so in Indiana, with manufacturing being a huge part of the local economy. 2 men accused of stealing a truck in another state are now in the Jefferson County Jail in southern Indiana. Harrison Silcox.
The sheriff's office in Kentucky got in touch with state police in southern Indiana about 2 men who they believe to have stolen a Ford F-150 and taken it to Indiana. Troopers say they found that truck parked at a Wendy's in Scott County, only for the driver to hit the gas and try to avoid the cops. The chase ended in Jennings County with 2 people arrested, the driver Daniel York and passenger Everett Klein. They were each placed in the Jefferson County Jail and now face charges of armed robbery. Harrison Silcox, Network, Indiana.
IU faces Michigan on Saturday. Even with their patented focus, the college football playoff is on their mind.
Doesn't matter where you are today. It's the end of the season, and you got to win. And all these teams need to win that are in the top 12 and just outside the top 12.
Head coach Kurt Signetti. Kickoff at 3:30 Saturday. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Do you have $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 in debt? Then listen to this. You may not be required to pay it all back.
I was drowning in debt.
I had over $36,000 in debt.
If I would have just made the minimum payments, it would have taken me 59 years to pay off.
Whether it's credit card, medical, or personal loan debt, National Debt Relief can help significantly reduce what you owe. In fact, debt relief payments can be 50% less than your monthly credit card payments. That's right, half as much as you're paying now.
National Debt Relief reduced my debt by over $27,000.
With National Debt Relief, you have a powerful team that knows how to talk to your creditors.
National Debt Relief, they got me out of debt.
More than 550,000 Americans have used National Debt Relief to reduce their debt. Call 800-885-5444 to see if you qualify to settle your debt for a fraction of what you owe. That's 800-885-5444. 800-885-5444.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by B&W HVAC, Plumbing and Electrical, your American Standard air dealer.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Friday, November 8th. It's 5 minutes after 11. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Rob, we have to discuss this tweet. Re-elected Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita says he declined to have his name included on the list of people interested in potentially serving in the new Trump administration. He declined it. No, thank you. Me too. They came and they said, Casey, and I said, no, I can't. Rokita said that he likes his job and that Hoosier voters gave him a mandate to continue fighting for them.
Well, okay, so shall we discuss?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, and I say this is someone who voted for Todd Rokita, and I was very candid. I voted for Todd Rokita because Destiny Wells was simply so horrific. If the Democrats had put any sort of moderate, reasonable person who would have pledged to uphold the law and not do politics with the office, I probably would have voted for that person. But the Democrats did not do that, and they put Indiana Beto up there, and it was my distinct pleasure to vote against her to once again see her get 40-ish% of the vote. And by the way, what's the over-under on how long it takes her to declare for the next office she's planning to seek?
I think she was dropping hints yesterday.
What do you think? Let's see. What are we? We're at least, we're 3 years away from a Carmel mayoral election. I don't even know. Does she even live in Carmel? I don't know. Anyway, probably not.
No, I believe she lives in Indianapolis.
Does she? Okay. Well, then she'd have to move to Carmel because she loves that she does well in Carmel. So maybe that's on the but I mean, what are statewide? What do we got? We have Secretary of State again. She could run for that. What do they got? Is it the comptroller? Nope, that just happened. Secretary of State with 2 years away. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, the comptroller, Secretary of State, and was it treasurer? Those are all up in 2026. So maybe one of those will tickle her fancy. I mean, either way. So let's set an over-under on when she declares for the next public office. Go, Casey. What's your over-under?
I'm going to say she's going to give this one a couple months, but by next summer.
By next summer. So you're thinking like July 1st. You think
let's just say July 4th.
July 4th. My over-under is July 4th. Woo! Boy, that's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good odds maker. I will say formally declares after July 4th.
You're going to say after?
All right.
Okay.
And are you taking the under or over your date of July 4th?
I'm gonna after July 4th.
After July 4th as well. All right. Very good. Okay. So all of the preface of that was to say that what I'm about to say about Todd Rokita. Because people will go, well, you voted for him. Yeah, I voted for him hoping that he won't have a law license soon and Braun gets to make the appointment. I probably won't get that lucky, though. Todd Rokita is a horrible attorney. He's not done a very good job with the office. Mediocre at best. I don't think he had ever actually tried a case in court before he became the attorney general. You have to have a law license, but you do not have to have ever practiced. Like he wasn't like Curtis Hill was a prosecutor or whatever. There is zero with the cloud hanging over his head. I mean, zero. The fact that he's also a horrible attorney on top of that Donald Trump would have considered him for anything in the attorney general's office, or the people, whoever the next attorney general is, would have considered him for anything. And actually, maybe the best gift to us all would be if Trump would have considered him for some low-level position so he would get out of being the attorney general.
I'm not interested. No thanks. Yeah, me too. If you were to be asked, would you want to work in the Trump administration?
No.
That would be, I think, like, Susie Wiles has her work cut out for her, right? She's used to it. She's been working with Trump for years now. But I have to imagine that's got to be a pretty tough boss.
If you try to be good at government, it's a horrible job. And I know it from experience. If you try to be good at government, you are miserable all the time, you are consumed all of the time, and you very rarely are actually even successful at the thing you're trying to accomplish because there are so many people with their hands in the cookie jar who are going to fight to try to keep you out of it. So no. Casey, look, let me be as specific as I possibly can be. This is the job I wanted since I was a little kid. I envisioned what the show would look like when I was a little kid. It has largely become the thing that I envisioned as a little kid. We are overwhelmingly number one in our time slot. Do you know how hard that is to do on a midday time slot in talk radio? I like my coworker. I don't really do any actual work. I'm home by 1 o'clock each day. No, there's nothing I want to do other than this. There's nothing I want to do other than this. They will drag me out in a body bag or in handcuffs from this place.
Yeah, you're like John Mellencamp. It's probably will they bury me.
I mean, people all the time think about what am I going to do? Nothing. I'm going to do this until they tell me you're no longer allowed to do this anymore.
So I was thinking about this last night. Out of Trump, Elon Musk, or RFK Jr., there's no way that I could work for Elon Musk. I mean, I know
like a Tesla, or you mean in the government?
Just any way, in any capacity for him. I know that I'm too old.
Too old?
And I know my limitations. I mean, that is a smart guy, and I don't think I could keep up with him.
You're saying Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of jobs that I'm sure under him that are not, hey, you got to be the most technically savvy person in the world.
I don't know. He's the guy who keeps like 10 people around him, right?
Well, yeah, but he's also built these companies that require many, many employees. Yeah, you would, but I don't think you'd want to work for him.
What about RFK Jr.?
Well, can you work for someone you're madly in love with? Like, could you go work for Daniel Elliott?
I do that every day, Rob.
Oh!
Hey-oh!
So the question would be like, could you go work for Daniel Elliott? Could you go work for RFK Jr., right?
I think you got to believe in the message.
Yeah, you do. And this is the thing that I found about working in the government is if you care, if you're motivated, you got to have really thick skin and a really strong ability to detach at various times because it will chew you up and it will spit you out and you will end up a miserable, horrible human being.
Well, let's see. Let's look at what our state house is going to look like. Looks like Republicans, they've earned enough victories to retain at least 67 seats.
So they will have super majorities in the House and the Senate.
So that means they're not going to need Democrats to conduct any business at all.
No.
Including passing bills.
Well, and here's what's going to be fascinating, because if indeed Braun gets his way, which, by the way, 54% in a state like India, that is a mandate. That is a mandate vote total. Congratulations to our audience. You have given Braun the ability to have a mandate on his key issues, of which he has said property tax is number one. Now, the fight is not done, because I can assure you that once that bill gets presented, especially if it looks like the bill that Braun proposed running for governor, which includes, and by the way, I know they listen, if that bill that is put before the legislature does not include those property tax resets, Braun, you'll be a one-term governor, and there will be complete mutiny on your hands a month into your administration.
So Todd Houston said that the upcoming 25 session is going to prioritize the next 2-year state budget and likely see lawmakers deal with everything from education funding to infrastructure to Medicaid.
Yeah, they don't want to do it. This is my point.
What did I not mention?
Right, this is my point.
Yeah.
I am telling you right now, Rod Bray and Todd Houston do not want to deal with property tax reform because they don't want the headache. They're rich guys. The skyrocketing property tax is not a big deal to them, and they don't want the headache.
Well, and plus, if they hear from local governments,
sure,
and
so we have been very specific with
redshirted teachers.
Well, right, we've been very specific with our audience about this is a 2-step process. Step one, Braun has to win by more than 50% to walk in with a mandate. Check. Okay, we'll take a week off. We'll everybody recharge their batteries, and then after org day, there's going to have to be a mobilization of our audience to bombard, I mean overwhelm these lawmakers mandating that they pass Mike Braun's property tax proposal, because Braun cannot do it alone. It doesn't matter if it was Mitch Daniels. He wouldn't be able to get it done by himself, because there's going to be such immense pushback from these local government people at the thoughts of, oh my gosh, I can't have a $36 million arena for a minor league basketball team. Or, oh my gosh, where I live in Brownsburg, I can't have a $4 million empty patch of grass. Or, oh my gosh, in Westfield, we might not be able to have $12 million tennis courts. Or in Carmel, $145,000 or whatever it was for bison statues on the street. You have earned, it's like playing a video game, right? You have moved on to the next level, and the next level will now be your engagement once Braun puts the plan formally into motion to get lawmakers to pass the plan. By the way, we will fully vet the plan. We will read the plan. You will not, I think Braun knows by now, based on what happened the first time, you will not get bullcrap past me. And we will give the thumb up or the thumb down on the plan, and then we will tell you how to proceed. My hope is, and my optimism is, that Braun is going to present the plan that he talked about on the campaign trail, which starts around two things: reset the property tax rate and cap the growth. And if it's that, we're going to give it a thumb up and we're going to charge forward. If not, it's going to be really, 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 really messy.
So Org Day is set for November 19th.
Yeah, and I think I don't think you're going to get a formal. There's two steps to this. The state of the state is going to be very key because he's going to lay out his vision. But ahead of the state of the state, I think you're going to have that formal plan presented as it starts to work its way through the committees. I think you'll know well in advance what the actual plan is going to look like. I cannot, Casey, under any circumstance, imagine that Mike Braun does not present to the General Assembly a property tax plan without the rate resets. And even though Bray and Houston don't want to deal with it, I don't think they want an ineffective and largely inefficient and tumultuous opening term for them and their governor. I think we have proven by now, Casey, with the fact that Micah Beckwith is now the lieutenant governor, and Donald Rainwater lost hundreds of thousands of votes from one election cycle to the next.
Yeah.
I think we have proven our ability to mobilize people and mobilize the base of the Republican Party. So, Rod and Todd, two options here, right? To the Flanders boys. May I talk to the Flanders boys for a moment? To the Flanders boys. You have two options on how you would like the next 4 years to proceed, and you're going to find out you're going to make the choice really quick. Option A, it's remember the Choose Your Own Adventure novel when to go down the dark cave, go to page 37.
Don't go down the dark cave.
Go to page 8, right? You may have 4 years of relative peace and quiet and silence. And Rob Kendall completely off your ass if you pass the Mike Braun property tax plan with the rate resets. You can do that, and I know you guys are going to pull crap. I know you're going to screw over people. I know you're going to do a bunch of things that piss me off. But if you just give me this one thing, there's two things I really want out of this session.
There's just three things.
Well,
honestly, there's just 4 or 5.
There's two major issues that I think they can and should address, and if they do those, I'm going to be relatively pleased. It is the universal school choice and is the property tax plan. So you can do those two things, and then I'll just mostly leave you alone. I mean, there may be some bitching here or there, but I'll largely leave you alone. Or you can choose to not do that, and I promise you, if you do not pass the property tax plan, no better friend, no worse enemy. You've chosen your path. Oh, yeah, and by the way, my best friend is lieutenant governor. So how do you think that's going to go with the bully pulpit?
Another thing happened. No state Senate seats changed parties in the election, and that means that Republicans are going to keep their dominant 40-10 majority in the chamber. One other state house that I wanted to mention, because I take great pleasure out of this one. It's kind of like, you celebrating Eric Holcomb moving out of the governor's mansion.
Should we throw him a party?
I take joy in saying that the Republicans retook the Michigan House.
Yeah.
Making Stretch and Gretchen there a lame duck governor. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't a great idea mocking Catholics with a fake communion.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And by the way, I know we got to get to a break, but let me say, I do not think that there is any scenario under the sun where Mike Braun will not fight with every fiber of his being for his property tax plan. I would be floored if he does not. I think he's come on this show and said he's going to. He told the Capital Chronicle and the other media outlets he was going to. I do not think Mike Braun is going to be the problem in this equation. I think the General Assembly is going to be the issue in this equation, and we will judge Braun based on can he use the bully pulpit of the governor's office with the mandate to move those guys to his property. Look, either way, it's one or two things are going to happen. Either we're going to get the property tax reform, it's going to be great for all the Hoosiers, or our show is going to be just a barrel full of fun the next 4 years.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
The colors of fall. Orange.
Orange cone zone. Orange cones all over the place. This time on the north side.
Orange.
Orange barrels are up, restricting the far left lane and then switching to the right lane.
And orange.
Orange, you glad that I didn't say orange again? That's a little traffic humor.
When the colors of fall have you seen red, orange.
If I never see orange again.
Turn to Matt Baer Traffic. Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Mike loves the fall in Indy, but he hates to paint, so he called Rhino Shield. Our home is basically a contemporary, and we just started noticing that the paint was just fading and just looked like garbage. We had received a postcard from Rhino Shield, and we decided to take a look at it.
Rhino Shield's formulated for our specific climate here in Indiana.
We had problems in the past with painters. They leave debris and everything. Well, we didn't have that with Rhino Shield.
And right now, Indy, get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price. Plus, there's more great news. Rhino Shield has partnered with Green Sky Financing to offer affordable monthly payments with 0% interest loans to qualified customers.
The thing about Rhino Shield, the heat gain has been reduced, and we save $70 a month. You don't hear that about any type of paint.
Here's Rhino Shield Shane Smith.
Call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint. Go Rhino.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Martha was ready to switch to a career in IT.
There's always a need for IT specialists, especially with AI coming out and cybersecurity. It's practically recession-proof.
My Computer Career even provides job placement help.
The career specialists, they're very helpful. They care about you as a person. You're not just a number to them. I would recommend My Computer Career wholeheartedly to anyone.
Take the free career evaluation today. Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
Veterans Day, the annual celebration honoring people who have served in the U.S. military. I'll be celebrating it with two members of the military on Monday.
Who am I working with Monday?
I don't know. Probably Jerry Lopez, right?
Kind of self of you just to leave without knowing who's going to be in your place.
Isn't he the normal?
I don't know.
Isn't he the one who comes in, him and Ethan? They kind of bounce back and forth.
I'm
taking Jim with me, so he's not
Jim
available.
Is not available.
He's not available. I'm sorry, but that would be a whole lot of fun sometime for the two of you to do the show.
Oh man, that'd be wild.
I'll have to go out of town, like on a girls' trip, or go see my mom or something, and then like
Jim would be like, "You're not sticking me with that idiot for 3 hours."
You're like the same person, so it would be interesting.
That is true.
To see what would happen.
Your husband is one of the coolest people I've ever met, and I always enjoy interacting with him. So you married well. Good job.
Oh, thank you. So did you. Okay, but let's talk about Veterans Day, right? This legislation passed in 1938, and it used to be called Armistice Day, right? Because it was when World War I ended.
That's right.
On November 11th, and it took effect in the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month.
Thank you.
We always have Veterans Day on November 11th.
And I know, and look, rightfully so. I know some people get a little, and I think it's something where there's no ill intent whatsoever, but some people do get a little particular about, like on Memorial Day, if you say thank a veteran, some people get kind of upset about that because Memorial Day is for veterans who have paid the sacrifice, ultimate sacrifice. Veterans Day is to celebrate all of our veterans who have worn the uniform, and we thank all of them. Even Destiny Wells, we thank you for your service. Thank you for all you've done for us.
Current and past.
That's right. That's correct. And those people are a reason that America is the freest, most amazing place on earth, and the selfless sacrifice that those people have made, whether you have been in the field of combat or not, you were willing to go into the field of combat. Thank you for that. And so I'll have to come up with something for Monday for that.
And you know what? As you do that on Monday, acknowledge the spouses and the children because that's always it's a difficult position for the entire family of someone who is serving overseas. But there are a lot of deals that are being offered.
Oh,
Applebee's. Now you have to show your.
Oh, you got to be a veteran.
Yes.
What about people who support veterans?
Well, you have to have proof of your military service, like a military ID card, a VA card, or even your discharge papers.
So if I support veterans, I don't get the thing.
No, wouldn't that I don't want to say that's stolen valor, but wouldn't that be a little bit like a stolen sirloin?
No, I mean I'm not pretending I was certainly not a soldier. I was just asking, like, it's just for the soldiers, it's not for people who support the soldiers.
It's for veterans and active duty military.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
Applebee's is giving them a free meal, and they get to seven to choose from.
Maybe
Bob Evans is also offering a free meal.
Maybe they could find some sort of middle ground, like if you're just a supporter of veterans, then you get like half off. You get a free meal if you're the actual veteran. If I'm an avid supporter of a veteran, you get half off.
Casey's is offering one complimentary coffee or fountain drink to all veterans.
How exciting.
Yeah. So lots of things. Hooters is offering free meals. Golden Corral as well. Let's see. The Indiana State Fairgrounds. Oh, you can get a free milkshake.
You know what's fascinating? Like, I don't know. Have you ever done family history? Are you a family history?
My dad was way into genealogy.
Yeah. Are you familiar with any of it? Like, did you trace it? So my dad has done that too, and you get a pretty good idea of who your relatives are. Did you know my family goes back to the Boone family, the Daniel Boone family? Yeah, that's a big deal. My older family were friends with the Mellencamp's years and years ago. There's newspaper articles. Old genealogy stuff is fascinating. Anyway, like you think about even in my family, which I don't think of myself, oh my gosh, come from this military family, but my great-great-grandfather fought for the Union in the Civil War. My grandfather fought the Nazis in World War II. My uncle served in the armed forces. Now, he was not in Vietnam, but in the Vietnam era. And so, like, even if you don't think of yourself as a military family, there's a good chance that there are people in your past who were willing to wear the uniform and go and fight for their country.
Yep. I had a grandfather who was in the military. Let's see. My father-in-law was in the Navy, full retired. Yeah. And obviously my brother and his wife and their daughter all serve currently. So I'll be celebrating Veterans Day with two veterans.
That's great. Good for you. Abandoning the show. I hope you're happy with yourself.
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Technology Recyclers is Indiana's best choice for computer and electronics recycling. A Hoosier veteran-owned company, Technology Recyclers is R2, Rios, and NAID certified, 100% landfill-free, and always guaretees complete data destruction. And you can expect free business pickups anywhere in Indiana at tech-recyclers.com or call 1-800-237-3887. Technology Recyclers, the official sponsors of tomorrow. That's tech-recyclers.com for a stress-free experience in recycling.
Man, I can't believe it. We're already headed towards the middle of November, and the middle of November means December's right around the corner, and that means Christmas. And this Christmas, give yourself, yes, think of you for once, give yourself the gift of getting your confidence back with a call to my friends at We Grow Hair Indy. I did this several years ago, and every time I look in the mirror, I'm glad I did. So here's how it works with We Grow Hair Indy if you're not familiar. You call today, 317-522-2995, 317-522-2995, and you say, hey, I want to schedule a totally free, no hassle, no obligation consultation. And when you do that, you're going to go in, Darren and the gang, they're going to take a look at what's going on the top of your head, and then they're going to give you some suggestions on how to get that hair back. Then you take the information, you make the choice. You can see how other people have gotten their confidence back by heading to WeGrowHairIndy.com. WeGrowHairIndy.com. Get the ball rolling today. Totally free, no hassle, no obligation consultation. 317-522-2995. WeGrowHairIndy.com. Tell them Rob sent you.
David was in big trouble with the IRS.
At first, I didn't owe that much, but after this year, it was out of control.
Then David called Get a Tax Lawyer.
Right away, they were like, oh yeah, looks like you're qualified to say
Get a Tax Lawyer went to work.
Should have called way sooner.
Get a Tax Lawyer has helped thousands like David fight the IRS and get a fresh start.
Call 800-745-3070. That's 800-745-3070.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next.
And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What will they decide? 57 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Still no verdict in the Delphi murders trial. The jury resumed their deliberation at 9 o'clock this morning. They deliberated for a few hours yesterday after closing arguments, but did not reach a verdict before their day ended at 4 o'clock. For now, all involved just sit and wait. Listener discretion advised. John Herrick reports on a man from Indianapolis who's headed to federal prison.
Joshua Sims was sentenced to more than 54 years in prison this week for sexually exploiting a toddler. Police say not only did he do that last year, he also forced another relative to watch him do it and sent videos of the sexual abuse out onto the internet for other people to see it. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Have you heard the saying, cash is king? This is true most of the time, but it's not when you're retired.
Hey, this is Rob.
And this is Casey.
When you're retired, cash is not king. Income is king.
Discover how you could turn your savings into a guaranteed stream of income in retirement with Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy. We trust Bill to help us with planning for our retirement, and you can too.
If you've saved more than $200,000, call Bill right now at 317-932-9912.
Social Security alone won't be enough to pay for your retirement. You need to create other sources of income that you can count on for the rest of your life.
Call Bill Demery now at 317-932-9912. That's 317-932-9912. Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy at 317-932-9912.
Don't want the worry of maintaining your furnace or air conditioner? Join B&W's Premier Club today. Visit bplusw.com/radio to learn more. B&W is your independent American Standard air dealer.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
So we've been talking a lot about the rhetoric that you've been hearing. Of course, President Biden yesterday said we need to dial it down. We need to be unified. Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about it during a press conference, and she said that, yeah, it's all going to end. Isn't that nice that they say that now? And we've heard many people saying that it was uneducated women who put Donald Trump into office. Well, there's been another group that has been chastised for the way they voted, and that is black men, and they're receiving a lot of hate and trolling online for voting for Donald Trump. But this woman here has a different opinion.
So I'm scrolling, and I see a lot of black women making videos talking down to black men who voted for Trump. And I just have to say, if you voted for Trump and you're a black man, thank you. And I thank you because I know exactly why you voted for Trump. You voted for secure borders so that us women and children can be safe. You voted for a strong economy so that us women and children can be provided for. You voted for our children to not be indoctrinated in this failed public school system. You voted for my right to not have to use the bathroom with a biological man. You also voted for our children not to be drafted into another endless, senseless war that only benefits the military-industrial complex. And also, you voted for the protection of our freedom of speech. The same freedom of speech that these evil, nasty, disgusting women are using to wish death upon you. So as a black woman, I just want to say thank you for voting for Trump.
Okay, so Joe Rogan was talking about the election win, and he said it's one of the first times that there's a real chance to make tangible change for the good for everyone.
He's got a year. He's got a year because there are several Republican Senate seats that are up in 2026. The map is not super favorable for the Republicans. They could easily lose the Senate if they don't perform. Now, if they perform, they will keep the Senate. And look, the campaigns obviously start a year ahead of time. So he's got basically a year. He has 53 seats with McCormick. And so he better get going quick on the core things. He needs to pick 2 or 3 of the top things. Say we're rolling with these, whoever the new leader in the Senate's going to be, and I assume Mike Johnson will be the speaker again if the Republicans hold the House, and say, look, here's what we're doing, and we're focused all of our energy on these things, and we're going to get these done, and then we can run on these accomplishments and the betterment of American society on those things. Here's what's really interesting. So that looks like the Republicans are going to end up with 53 seats in the Senate.
Okay, you said McCormick. Now you're talking about Dave McCormick.
Not Jennifer McCormick. She lost.
Right, Dave McCormick, who won the Senate seat in Pennsylvania.
Right. Now, everyone has called it for him, but Casey, his opponent.
Bob Casey hasn't conceded
will not
yet.
give up. Right.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're going to lose that seat in Wisconsin, and they're going to lose that seat in Nevada, though it was close, and they're going to lose the seat in Michigan and Arizona. So that's 4 swing states. Now, they got a couple of them. They got Ohio, and they got Pennsylvania. So they got two, they won because West Virginia and Montana were seen as slam dunks. Those are Republican states now. They should win those and win easily. So they got 2 out of 4. They only got 1/3 of the swing state senators, which means Trump won all those states, which says Trump outperformed the Republicans. The Republican brand is the problem, not Trump. We said this all throughout the election cycle, that all the huffing and puffing about Trump being a drag on the ticket, etc. No, Trump outperformed the Republicans. The Republican brand is still poison. Trump is different from the Republican brand. That's why he was able to elevate himself. The Republicans are the ones with work to do, and that means getting behind Donald Trump's agenda. They need to just unify up and say, look, we don't necessarily like this guy. We don't agree with all this stuff, but if we want to hold on to power, you got to just 100% go all in on whatever Trump wants, the stuff he ran on I'm talking about, and ride or die with it.
It's interesting that you say that the Republicans are the ones that have a lot of work to do. I mean, who are the Democrats going to turn to? I mean, what does the power structure of that party look like now? I mean, because...
Well, the short term is it won't matter because you're running Senate candidates, right? Like it's going to be state by state. It's going to be accomplishments of Trump. Long term...
Yeah, I'm talking long term because, I mean, think about it. Schumer and Pelosi...
Yeah, well,
Obamas and Clintons.
The bigger problem for them, and this was always going to be the issue, was you look at the Republican bench. So 2028, I know we're not even through 24 yet, but 2028, you got Vance, you got DeSantis, you got.
Hasn't even been sworn in.
No, I mean, but this is what we do, right? Oh, it's on to the next thing. It's always like when your team wins the world championship, you put all that effort in to cheer for them, and it's this emotional roller coaster, and then they win. It's like, oh, I can't wait for next year. It's going to be great.
Right.
But you look at. Like the Republican bench is very deep. DeSantis, but for the Democrats, okay, it's Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
You would assume at this point Michelle Obama really indeed does not want it because she's never, I mean, this would have been a perfect opportunity. I don't know. Is it the Shapiro, Gretchen Whitmer? I know the problem with the Democrats is the base is so rabid on these crazy issues that the people who have a chance to win general elections really are going to struggle to get their nomination.
I saw somebody post something last night that I thought was fascinating to even just consider. Something along the lines of Biden is going to ask Sotomayor to step down and get Kamala Harris, in the Supreme Court.
Well, I think he had a hard time with that. All right, hey, let's take a break. When we come back, it's Mind Your Manners. Susan Beckwith. I'm going to learn how to do something I've never been good at. Be a gracious winner.
Okay. You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here from Sullivan Hardware and Garden and Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan. Well, this weekend, you'll want to look at the biggest selection of artificial trees in Indiana, already reduced 30%. Come see our pre-lit trees in stock ranging from 2 to 14 foot tall. Plus, you'll get an extra discount on some of the best-selling trees. And with purchase, we'll even throw in a $25 gift card from our gift shop. Just arriving fresh greens and live trees. Large selection of ornaments also on sale. Buy 2, get 1 free. Can't make it to our stores? Well, check out our artificial trees online at sullivanhardware.com. So come in or buy online. The choice is yours. Again, this year at our 71st and Keystone store, climb aboard the Sullivan Express train and visit Santa. Book your tickets at sullivanhardware.com. Sullivan Hardware and Garden, 71st and Keystone, 49th and Penn, Cicero, and Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan, 114th and Allisonville Road in Fishers.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and I asked my wife this morning why women don't want to get their carpets cleaned. She said they absolutely do want to get their carpets cleaned, but they just don't want the hassle. You know, I get it. Nobody wants to have to move furniture, worry about people that they don't know coming into the house, worrying about the chemicals they're using, and then waiting around for things to dry. I get it. But that's not Zero Res. And with their Gotta Love It guarantee, they're going to make sure it's a great experience that you'll never, ever regret. There is nobody better at cleaning than Zero Res. Right now, get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $129 and $75 off air duct cleaning too. That's a $40 savings on the carpet cleaning. The Zero Res service is easy to line up, and you can go online at ZeroResIndy.com to do the scheduling at your convenience. Just call them and mention WIBC. It's Zero Res. Call 317-388-5141 or book things online at ZeroResIndy.com. That's ZeroResIndy.com.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My entire family's obsessed with all things Wicked, but my kids can't stop watching the trailer, and now they're having a Wicked-themed sleepover. Do you think our internet can handle all of the streaming and memeing going on?
Well, we've engineered our Xfinity gateways to handle hundreds of devices at once, so they can all stay magically connected.
Wow. Are you a wizard?
I wish. No, just someone that won't let a bad connection burst your internet bubble.
Now through December 22nd, get Thrillifyingly fast 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $35 a month for 12 months with no annual contract and free Wi-Fi equipment included. Go to Xfinity.com to switch today. Keep the magic going from your screen to the big screen. And see Wicked, only in theaters November 22nd. Restrictions apply. Requires Prevost bill and auto stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. After promo, regular rates apply. Currently $56 a month for internet service and $15 for Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary, not guaranteed.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-881-6464. 800-881-6464. Again, that's 800-881-6464.
Discover cancer care that empowers you at Community Health Network MD Anderson Cancer Center. Our multidisciplinary care team will guide you every step along the way.
It was very overwhelming at first, but I found this whole community of people who are understanding and just very supportive. So I have a lot of thankfulness and gratefulness for who I am through this and after this.
Learn more at ecommunity.com/cancer.
It's JMV and Miss M's Home and Gardens fall sale continues. 30 to 50% off all trees and shrubs in stock. State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville.
Check out what's going on with 93 WIBC.
Join Tony Katz and Fingers Malloy for a live Eat, Drink, Smoke show at Nikki Blaine's Cocktail Lounge on Saturday, November 9th from 4 to 6 p.m., courtesy of Hotel Tango Distillery.
More info online at WIBC.com.
Susan, looks like I'm losing my mind.
It is the Kendall and Casey show. Rob Casey's here. Casey, it's that time.
It is that time. And you know what, Rob? It's been a really long week for a lot of people.
That's right. And by the way, this is your last, well, I don't mean this is like your last day, period. This is your last day for a couple days.
Till I take a few days off,
When are you coming back?
Thursday.
I don't even know who I'm working with.
Neither do I. Probably Jerry
They probably
Lopez.
don't know either. They probably don't.
Ethan Hatcher. I don't know. They'll just spin the roulette wheel and see who shows up.
Well, all right. So before we bid adieu to Casey for the next couple days, we get you out of here each week. We wrap up the work week doing the same thing. We teach you how to be better members of society heading into the weekend. And in order to do that, the segment is called Mind Your Manners. We have our own former Miss Indiana, and she's about to be, Casey, the second lady of the state of Indiana, Susan Beckwith.
You want to talk about somebody who has had an exciting, busy week. This lady.
Yeah, and she joins us now. By the way, Susan, I'm so excited for Micah's victory, not only because I love you guys, but now I'm like the cousin Eddie of the State House. I'm going to come over there, and because I'm buddies with Braun and I'm buddies with Micah, all those people who hate me, they got to pretend like they don't hate me anymore.
I absolutely love it. We were so thrilled to have you there at the watch party and seeing you interact with all the people that were coming up and, sharing that they love your show. They listen to you. They're faithful listeners. And I just think it's going to be a really exciting and fun 4 years ahead.
Yeah, that was the first Republican event I've been invited to since the Obama administration. So, worlds are turning. All right. So since you guys won and you won overwhelmingly, we are going to put it to you this week on our Mind Your Manners segment on how to do something I've never been good at, which is being a gracious winner.
Yeah, I was kicking around different ideas, but this just definitely felt appropriate because, there's a whole other side that woke up feeling a lot of despair. And I remember what that was like 4 years ago. And as much as there was this little piece of me that wondered if it would have been a big blue wave, if they would be just as focused on that. But then really in my heart, I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter if that's how they would respond. It's important for us to remember that we want to be gracious winners. And a big part of doing that is staying humble.
Yeah, all right, because every time I win, because people are always very mean to me when I run in campaigns, and I bring that on myself, but I'm always like, you people can eat it. Ha! I won again. The public likes me. You're saying, Susan, that's not how you should handle winning.
Well, I feel like the ultimate goal is that now that, we need to move forward. We need to work together. We obviously want to make Indiana the best state possible, our country the best country possible. And part of that is going to be coming back together. And so I feel like gloating is probably not the best avenue to do that.
Hard to believe things didn't go better for me in my 30s, Casey. Hard to believe.
I'd like to just editorialize a quick moment. No, the other side would not have been gracious or humble. Let's be honest. I think they would have rubbed it in our faces even worse than other Republicans are doing to them right now. But I understand what you're saying, Susan. We don't want to dance at someone else's funeral.
Exactly. I think, I struggle with that, too, because I agree. I don't think that it would have been reciprocated. But then I think I cannot live my life in a way that's contingent on how they would have acted, that I would always want to act with integrity. That doesn't mean we don't celebrate. I mean, this was huge, and this is so exciting, and we worked really hard for it. I think there's just, kind of the whole read the room, just be very aware that, there's a whole other side that, is really probably going through the emotions, because you also have to give some context. They're in an echo chamber where they're hearing nothing but despair. This is the end of the world. And so, and if that's all they're hearing and that's all they've known, and if we treat them unkindly, I feel like that is only going to reinforce their fears. So I feel like this is a chance to share, actually, this is going to be amazing for you. And I feel like a great way to start that conversation is with kindness.
Okay, so let's start with one, because Susan always sends us a little primer of what kind of topic she'd like to hit. You talked about be empathetic. Okay, here's where I struggle with this. I hate all the politicians equally, so when, quote-unquote, my guy loses, I just kind of tell myself, well, he would have screwed me over anyway eventually. So I'm momentarily upset, but I've never been tears streaming down my face. I've never been posting threads on Reddit. How am I supposed to be empathetic to something that I don't understand why people respond like that?
Well, I think this is where Gabby is so good for you.
Oh, before you started this is a true story. So someone we know is very upset about this, and I had said a way I was going to handle it, and some other people we know are going to handle it, and Susan will back me up on this. My wife was just text storming me with Susan on the thread telling me how I couldn't handle it in the way that I desired to handle it.
That doesn't surprise me at all. We're so glad that we have these women in your life to keep you in line.
I was like, these people need to learn a hard lesson, right? Like, welcome to the adult world. This is how it goes. And my wife was like, you cannot do that. God would not want you to do that. All right, tell me how to be empathetic to something I don't understand.
Well, I think, again, it's just listening. So I think, with that individual in particular, I think understanding, hearing what they're saying, but then meeting it with calm, as well as compassion to say, okay, I can understand why you feel this way because this is all you've been hearing, but there's a whole other side that I'd love to introduce you to. Maybe this is a chance to truly educate them, open their eyes, and have some sort of productive conversation. But I feel like if you go in with a lot of bravado, it's probably not going to be received.
Okay, I'm torn on this because that does sound much more effective, but it sounds much less fun.
Rob's eyes are popping out of his head.
There, lady, like you will still be able to go to a state that has abortions. Is that how I do it? Is that how this is what I struggle with. How do I attempt to explain the unexplained you see what I'm saying? Like I don't even know where do I begin?
You're trying to reason, and she is saying empathy. Those are different.
Is it?
Well, I think, then you meet it with facts. But again, it's about delivery. This is the conversation that Mike and I have a lot too. It's to say, hey, I can understand why you feel this way because this is what you're hearing, but let me just show you the facts of what it means as far as state rights. And so there was actually nothing that Kamala could have done on a national level, just education. But I think, again, it's all about that delivery. And people will respond, in my opinion, more to delivering with honey than with vinegar.
See, this is why I said throughout the whole race, the wrong Beckwith was running because she's just as conservative as Micah, but she's so much nicer about it.
She is very nice, but she's bringing up a really good point. Many people have been stuck in this echo chamber, and many people were so surprised. It completely caught them off guard because they truly thought that the blue side was having a wave, and those of us who are informed knew better. However, another thing you got to realize is the government should not be this big of a deal in your life to begin with.
That's a good point, right? All right, one other one before we let you go. You said act with integrity. Help me understand how me being excited that the Republic has been saved, how is that not acting with integrity? What do I do? What does that mean, act with integrity?
I think it's just, again, you're meeting them with compassion. You can be excited, but I think when you are, I equate it to a lot with my son with sports. It's okay to be excited for your win, but there's something about rubbing it in where it just takes it a step too far. So be excited, but also just understand that, they're working through a lot of emotion right now, and they're fearful. It's genuine fear. They are so concerned about what the next 4 years are going to look like. So I think this is an opportunity for us to show a little love.
So if Susan were running for president, she wouldn't have run up the score to 312.
She would have just stopped at 296. Okay, Susan, before we let you go, I have an idea that I think would be just fabulous. And I'm going to put you in charge of this because you are all things decor. And your house looks like a Hallmark movie. And by the way, what over under 9 Christmas trees in your house this year?
Well, I have 2 up so far. So,
of course. And I love last year, Susan's like, Rob, you can have one of our 9 Christmas trees because yours is falling apart and we're embarrassed to be in your house with your Christmas tree.
Absolutely not. No, that was not the circumstance. I am so glad to know you were able to. She was just being generous.
And here's some more of Micah's clothes because all of yours have holes in them. Hey, here's an idea for you. I'm going to put you in charge of this because Michael will drop the ball on this. I think once, because Braun gets a house, right?
It's the governor's mansion,
You do not get a house, right? Braun gets the house.
Correct.
Okay, so here's what we got to do once Braun gets in there, because this was such an arranged marriage of Braun and Micah, and then by default, it was an arranged marriage of me and Braun because we were fighting over custody of Micah. I think we got to have some sort of shindig where the Brauns and the Beckwiths and the Kendalls all do something fun at the governor's mansion. How about that?
I totally see that happening. I totally do. They really want to make it accessible and open and host. And I really am Maureen is lovely and very warm and genuine. I'm super excited to get to know her even better. But I really foresee a lot of good times ahead over the next 4 years at the governor's mansion.
I love it.
Party at the mansion.
Hey, tell us about your very fabulous website and Facebook page, Belle of the Midwest.
Yeah, so it's a great resource for social etiquette topics. I hope you'll check out my blog. Be sure to share. We're going to be kind of ramping things up. I for sure will be rolling out classes after the first of the year. I know we've been promising that, but it has been on a little pause with all the campaign hecticness. But be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any details.
Belle of the Midwest, BELLE of the Midwest.com, and find it on Facebook. Susan, thank you.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Thanks, you too. And that's going to do it for us today. That's going to do it for me for a couple days.
When are you coming back?
Thursday.
So
Thursday.
I got to do the 2-page template Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, you actually have to work, Rob Kendall.
Well,
sorry about your luck.
I don't know.
I'll send you a picture from the beach, okay?
Have fun.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kylan, and thank you for listening. This has been Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 463-251-1912. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics at 463-251-1912. That's 463-251-1912.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-285-0395. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-285-0395. 800-285-0395. 800-285-0395.
Real Stories with Hellsberg.
I had the ring already. She had made it very clear what kind of ring she wanted.
Yep.
I pretended that I was going to kneel and picked up a pine cone instead of pulling out a ring.
What a jerk. But when I saw that ring, I was like, oh, he did good.
I really love Amy. I really, really genuinely love Amy.
I love you too.
At Hellsberg, find the engagement ring worthy of your story. Designed with the love, care, and craft it deserves. Visit a Hellsberg store or hellsberg.com.
In the fight against lung cancer, it's game on, game strong. Franciscan Health leads the way with robotic technology to find and treat cancer sooner. Our entire team of multidisciplinary experts let cancer know it's hard to play against us. Franciscan Health is changing the game for lung cancer patients. Schedule a consultation or second opinion today. Visit franciscanhealth.org/lung cancer care.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Bees offering our
our Black Friday sale. 52% off, plus 10% manufacturer rebates, and 18 months, no interest, no payments.
Finally, a sports betting podcast for real dudes.